Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 19th TWitWoW monthly Q&A. This is, I can't believe we're on 19 already. Next month, I'm going to be able to say the 20th of these things. And this is us answering all the questions that you have asked us since our last Q&A. And most of those were technically asked in December, but it's meant to be the January Q&A. So, John, are you ready to do this? We have we have 61 questions. We had 53, and then we just got asked 4 by Alex Foster and 4 by Ben Jr. The Ben Jr. ones came in literally at 6:58, 6:59, and 7 o'clock. So thanks, Ben Jr.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to talk about like right at the fucking buzzer. But like I said, from the questions that I've seen, and maybe even from the questions I haven't seen, this seems like a very promising Q&A. So, brother, let's make haste here. Let's get right into these questions.
Alrighty, well, first set of questions, as always, because he submits before we even finish the previous Q&A, is James. And his first question for me only is, what is your favorite Pokemon game, and who is your go-to starter Pokemon in said game? Personally, my favorite Pokemon game ever is Pokemon Diamond, and my go-to starter in that game is Chimchar, because Infernape is a literal god and one of the greatest starting Pokemon of all time, right up there with Mudkip and eventually Swampert.
Did you say Infernape?
Yeah.
That's a really badass name.
It's a fire monkey.
That's amazing. You know what? That actually makes so much sense. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
It's literally like this is how much of a nerd I am. If you're in our Discord, you'd already know that I'm this much of a nerd. But in our general discussion tab a few months ago, I made a Pokemon starters tier list, and the god tier consisted of Mudkip and Chimchar. And that's because those two Pokemon are not only viable competitively, but they're both just ace at just destroying everything in the games that they are meant to be played with. So, yeah, Chimchar is my favorite starter of all time in my favorite Pokemon game of all time, Diamond. And the only favorite game is because it was the only. You know what? I shouldn't even say it was the only Gen 4 game I played, because I did have Pearl and I did play that, and I actually did start with a Piplup in that game, and I did a solo run using only Piplup, which then became Prinplup and then Empoleon. But it's not like I didn't play Pearl. I just always preferred Diamond for no particular reason.
All right, well, there you go.
Next question is only for you, John. What is one non-conference related thing that you're looking forward to in Colorado next month?
Getting fucking high and not having to worry about any of the laws against it because it's legal there. I'm actually hoping to do laced gummy bears in particular, because gummy bears are one of my favorite candies, and then you merge it with marijuana, and then you've got one hell of a great time. You said non-conference related things, so I can't say things like networking and stuff. So again, getting high would be one. And I do have 2 friends coming in, so I'll be looking forward to spending time with them. Hopefully, like going out to dinner, maybe like doing a little bit of sightseeing. I don't even know how much of that I'm going to be able to do, because I feel like a lot of it's going to be crazy. But yeah, I'm so looking forward to it. We're 2 weeks away from my trip. It's freaking insane. But yeah, I'm definitely
I'm so excited for you.
Oh, you're so supportive. Better than my worthless husband. But no, in all seriousness,
he asked you the question.
I'm abusive. I'm sorry, but I really am looking forward to it. Like it's been 8 years in the making. I've had this dream for so long, and really, it's crazy for me, because not to get too personal, but like this is my first time doing any kind of like extensive traveling without my family. So like a lot's falling on my shoulders in a good way, because I've wanted this kind of independence. And I hope I am able to do a lot of fun non-conference stuff, but really it is the conference that's the bread and butter to me. So absolutely cannot wait for it. I cannot believe we're 2 weeks away from it. It's just nuts.
Brandon Best just said, John, you need to start doing TWitWoW Stoned. Believe it or not, Brandon Best, John has done an episode of TWitWoW Stoned in the past.
And look at my husband again. I'm so excited to replace John on TWitWoW while he's gone. Ashton would never replace me, okay? Because unlike some people, he respects the sanctity of our relationship. Isn't that right, best friend?
Yeah, I would never. First of all, I would never replace you, and second of all, we're fortunate because your conference falls on days that we had no plans for TWitWoW anyway.
Exactly. And James, before we'd even pick you, you weren't even on the list. Foster was on the list. But no, in all seriousness, I hope that answers your question. Let's get on to our third question, Ashton. What do we got?
Our third question is for both of us. Uh, any preview and predictions for 2018 in your personal lives?
Oh, you go first on this one, bud. What do we got?
Okay, well, I think I've already said this in the Discord, but I don't know if I said it at all in any commentaries. I lost about 40 pounds in 2017, and my goal is to double that and lose another 80 in 2018. So that's a personal goal. As far as other more professional kind of stuff, rather than the personal like weight loss goal that I'm kind of working on, I would like to be able to say that I am able to predict NFL production for quarterbacks based on certain things, just using numbers, not even like saying like, oh, well, that guy has a really, strong arm and he's accurate and he runs around and he avoids probably all that shit. It's basically using only objective measurables rather than using the subjective eye test kind of stuff. I want to be able to see if I can make some kind of formula to attempt to predict quarterback and maybe other positions as well. But mostly at this point, I'm working on quarterback production. John?
Brother, first let me just say, because I've been like kind of intimately involved with like all that stuff, just by you telling me it, and I'm just so proud of the progress you've made. Like it's awesome, and I feel like 2018 is gonna be very kind to you. For me, it really is philosophy out the ass. Because like just to give context, I recently lost a contest where the winner would have gotten like $4,500, and like the funny thing is nobody won that prize. And to me, that was even worse than losing outright. Because it's one thing when you know that somebody's definitively better than you, but when somebody says, yeah, you and these other like 50 plus group of people are all the same amount of suck, there's something very insulting about that to me. So I said, you know what, 2018, I'm going to do more than ever. And I've been submitting a lot of abstracts, which really consider like audition pieces, like a pitch. I pitch that I want to write this for you and for you and for you and for you. I'm looking to do things, in public philosophy. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm part of the popular culture and philosophy series, looking to do one on Rick and Morty, Twilight Zone, Westworld. I'm going to be getting news on those abstracts next month, actually. A lot's going to be revealed to me on my birthday month, which is what makes it just so awesome. Just submitted a paper last night to another journal. I'm looking to do 2 other conferences outside of Colorado. I'm going to be going to Michigan in May to work on something with a friend of mine for their journal. So yeah, it's like, even though I feel like, what was it, 2016 that I said was a really productive year for me, 2018 might actually surpass that if I get all the projects I'm looking for. So yeah,
What was the year that you got published by NYT?
I think that was 2016. I want to say. Um, so I'm really looking to outdo that. And one big thing, now I doubt I'm gonna get this. And I'm thinking about like so many projects because I'm even thinking like there's a disability anthology that deals with sci-fi. I'm gonna be watching the anime Psycho-Pass and doing an abstract on that. Anybody that's watched that anime, no spoilers, but I will be free to discuss it with you later. What else? Oh, this thing that I'm thinking I won't be getting. There's a conference that I'm hoping I'll be able to speak at, and accepted papers get to be a part of a volume being developed by Routledge. And why that's significant is they are the biggest global publisher of the humanities like in the world. Like they're number one. And the people that have gotten published there over the years like are some of the greatest minds in my discipline. So to like be in that same conversation, I think it would be such a fucking confidence boost. It would be absolutely just incredible. And so, yeah, I'm really gunning for everything in 2018. And on top of that, on a personal level, I won't get too into the specifics, but Ashton knows I'm doing volunteer work. That's going to be a big part of my 2018. And really just to try and, stay healthy as best I can, my cerebral palsy, keep working out, keep toning that tone, taking care of this 4-pack. So yeah, 2018 is looking pretty bright for me. Hopefully.
Yeah, we're both really excited for 2018 and it's been a great year so far. Other than random like people's lives being ruined over, sexual assault allegations.
Yeah, right. Like, who's it gonna be today?
Yeah, that has nothing to do with us though, thankfully.
Yeah.
Fourth and final question from James. What about for wrestling? Do you have any preview and predictions for 2018 regarding wrestling?
You know what? I'll say 2018 in regards to wrestling. Money in the Bank's a Raw pay-per-view this year, isn't it?
Yep.
It's Raw this year. Okay. Sasha will be Miss Money in the Bank for Raw. I think for the men, who is on Raw? You know what? I'll give Balor Money in the Bank as part of Balor Club, if not a heel Dean Ambrose. And I think Cage is finally going to become Lucha Underground World Champion. And I think Juice is going to win his first championship. So those will be the predictions that I leave for now. What about you,
Who?
Ashton?
Wait, who's going to win his first championship? I didn't hear you.
Juice in New Japan.
Oh, Juice Robinson. Okay.
Yeah. So what about you, Ashton? What are some of your wrestling predictions?
My wrestling predictions. Let's see. I'll say that by the end of the 2018 calendar year, the single most over act in all of the WWE landscape will be Johnny Gargano.
Yeah, dude, that prediction is looking to bode quite well for you. That's a great prediction to make.
I think that by the end of the 2018 calendar year, we will see Daniel Bryan wrestling again, whether that's for WWE or not.
Nice.
I think that Triple H and John Cena will both have WWE title reigns this year.
Ooh, okay.
Not Universal, but WWE, because the Universal title is going to be just Roman Reigns and people that like that, like the main event guys.
Right.
Let's see. The Iconic Duo will become either Raw or SmackDown Women's Champion at some point this year. One of them most.
Oh, damn, dude. I love it. You're just rolling the dice on the crabs table here. That's great. Yeah, I hope you're right about these.
The WWE will sign Keith Lee by the end of the year.
Damn, okay.
Lucha Underground Season 4 will feature, I'll say, two of the following three females: Taylor Hendricks, Emma, Priscilla Kelly.
Dude, I love that you took this question and you were like, John, you're just small child with your predictions. Watch this. And then you're like, that's how you answer a predictions question. God damn, I love those. That's great, dude.
You know what? Someone in chat had a prediction. Dominique Adams in chat had a prediction that I'm going to sign on to. Elias for Mr. Money in the Bank.
Dude, if Elias wins Money in the Bank and they don't fuck him over, I'm going to need to buy a whole new set of underwear because I love that idea. I love everything about that idea. Everything. I mean, this guy has been like scoring touchdown after touchdown when given the ball. And I think the concept of Money in the Bank is perfect for a guy of his card position. So I'm totally on board with that. And yeah, Dominique Adams, man, he's really on the same like brain waves as me. Because I mean, between the sadism and then that, like, we got to talk a lot more, brother. So you hit me up. We got some stuff to talk about. But regardless,
and then to kind of exit the WWE sphere, since I've already made enough predictions for that, I've already said this before, but I want to really set it in stone here. Naito will be the New Japan, the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion for the entire second half of 2018 and go into Wrestle Kingdom 13. Or is that what we just saw? No, it is. Yeah, 13 is in 2019 with that championship and successfully defended against Okada, who I'm predicting Okada will win G1 Climax this year. So that's a big, like, really heavy-handed prediction that I'm making that I made. I pretty much called my shot on the night of Wrestle Kingdom 12.
Dude, I love so many of your predictions, and some of them I feel like were like specific enough that I would like you to record these and like keep a checklist of how many panned out. Because I would really love to know what your final tally is, because you made some really wonderful predictions there.
And then my final prediction is that by the end of the year, oh God, I'm kind of struggling a little bit to think of who because I have a person in mind, but I'm trying to remember. It was one of those things where I had a thought about a person, and then I said about Naito, and I lost who the person was that I had in mind.
Right.
Shit. Oh, Will Ospreay is going to move up to the heavyweight division and compete in G1 Climax.
Oh, dude, what? All right. Great predictions, man.
That's gonna be it for that. I want to make a prediction about PWG, but I feel like there's too much turnover there because they're consistently getting guys hired by WWE and other places and stuff like that. So You know, I would like to believe that Dalton Castle would have more of a role in PWG, but ROH is flaky as hell with the way that they treat people that work in PWG. So I don't know if that'll happen.
Right. All right, man. Well, that was James's fourth and final question, right?
Yes, it was. And up next, we have 4 questions from Hypothesis. First off, should WWE have a women's version of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal? Maybe call it the China Memorial Invitational or something along those lines.
Um, See, I like where you're coming from with the idea. I just worry about oversaturation, so I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no.
I'm going to say no, they shouldn't, but they probably will.
Yeah, because like a really hypothesis, I'll tell you this. I hope that the women's rumble, and I can't wait for Royal Rumble preview and predictions tomorrow.
Dude, I'm more excited for the Royal Rumble preview predictions than I am for the Royal Rumble, and I'm psyched as hell for the Rumble.
Well, you know I always love the mini game we do every year, so I'm excited to have you confound it. But John, how can you have 9 points on this guy if you haven't being eliminated? Oops. But no, I'm hoping that the women's
Dude, that actually does remind me. Our first year doing that game, you put more points on Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble than you put on Roman Reigns being in the Final Four.
Because he's so over that he's gonna find a technicality and win it anyway. But yeah, I hope the women's rumble works out as like a proof of concept. Because then if it does, like you don't need a battle royal to me, because that's as as good as it gets. I'm already thinking, just kind of give you something hypothesis rather than a no. I'm still kind of putting stock in the rumors that I would not be surprised if we got a women's elimination chamber at Fastlane next month.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm still believing that we were going to get a women's chamber and Asuka's just going to, potentially murder people, or maybe she won't because maybe she'll win the Rumble. You're going to have to find out tomorrow. But yeah, like, I don't know. Whatever they decide to do, I can definitely see a women's chamber, but a battle royal, I don't think they need that, especially if a chamber and a Royal Rumble do well enough on their own. So that's how I'm going to answer that.
I dig it, brother. I dig it. I'm going to kind of sign on to the idea. I kind of already even said they shouldn't, but they probably will. Maybe not this year, maybe in like 2019 or 2020. 2020 sounds more like the time that they would decide to have a second big battle royal on the pre-show of WrestleMania with all the women in it. But anyway, second question from Hypothesis. Pentagon Dark's victims have been getting actual characters in the order that he broke their arms. I think he said something about how, first one was Famous B, then it was Ricky Mandel, and then there was something else. And he basically just says, should Arhennis stick around? Because he's assuming that, I want to say Vinny Massaro is the third one, so he would be in season 4. Should Arhennis stick around just in case he gets an actual character in season 5?
Oh, absolutely. I think Arhennis in ring is solid. And I think with Lucha Underground's writing, they could give him a character, even if it was like more of a lower card tier character, like say the Rabbit Tribe, who you guys know I love if you've been keeping up with Lucha Rewatch, which you should. I think he would definitely be an asset to the brand. I think with a company like Lucha Underground, everybody has a chance to be an asset in their own way. And I love that they really do seem to utilize all their resources. So given that precedent, if I'm Aerostar, I don't know what the climate's like. I'm hoping it's as wonderful as I imagine it to be. I would absolutely stick around and wait for my opportunity because I know I've got the goods to back it up. What about you, though, Ashton? I'm always more interested in your takes on matters like this.
Yeah. I mean, I like Arhennis. He's kind of a guy that I picked out early on in season 1 as a guy that I kind of saw a lot in. He kind of reminded me of Hunico, who I'm a big fan of, and he is currently Sin Cara in WWE. So it's not like one of those situations where he's just kind of a nobody. I like Arhennis. I want him to stick around. So yeah, man, I'm down for that for sure.
All right, next question from Hypothesis.
Next question from Hypothesis is: do you think that King Cuerno will be more of an anti-hero in season 4 of Lucha Underground, almost along the lines of like what Pentagon was in the first season?
You never know with the Temple. I think they love a lot of characters that I think in other parts they'd be like top heels. And I mean King Cuerno's so talented in ring, and I love the Hunter gimmick. And I feel like if he's really given a chance to shine here and given like a lot to work with, and you can't get any better than Mil Muertes right now in that company, in my opinion, that I think he could really come out of this feud, or the continuation of this feud, I should say, because they've already been feuding for a good bit, with a lot of fanfare. So actually, I'm going to say yes to that question. Actually, I think King Cuerno checks off every box to kind of meet that criteria, and he's more than talented again to carry that upon his shoulders. But again, defer to you, Ashton. What do you think?
Honestly, I don't think King Cuerno is going to be an anti-hero as much as I think he's just going to be a full-blown heel. I think he is going to be the heel, and Mill is going to be the anti-hero character in their feud.
Right. Yeah, so we'll have to see what happens. Because I mean, again, he could be a heel like in all of his actions, the same way I kind of perceive Pentagon Dark most of the time to be a heel, but the fans will
Yeah.
lap it up. Like the Temple
Right,
is
but I
very
think that's kind of what I'm saying is going to happen with Mill though, because like they're both going to be complete dicks to each other, but I think Mill is going to be the one that gets cheered over Cuerno.
Yeah, they really do love Mill. You're right about that. Like he has a lot of fanfare and deservedly so. I'm still gonna say though, I think
I
King
think
Cuerno.
you and I are bigger fans of Cuerno than the believers in the temple for the most part.
Yeah, I would agree with that too, but I'm still hoping that he comes out with a good bit of fanfare, so I guess we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. All right. Fourth and final question from Hypothesis. If you could rebuild Mount Rushmore with George Carlin, Bill Hicks, Lenny Bruce, and Richard Pryor, which comedian would take which president's spot?
This is going to be a tough one for me to answer because I'm somewhat familiar with the comedic stylings of these people. I know one of them just was completely unfamiliar to me, and then another one I might have just heard of. But I've seen Carlin's bits. Who was the other? I heard Richard Pryor, George Carlin. Who were the other two people?
Bill Hicks and Lenny Bruce.
Bill Hicks and Lenny Bruce. Lenny Bruce, I don't feel like I've seen anything from, and if I have, it's completely like absent from my memory right now. And Bill Hicks, I know I've heard of him, but I don't think I've seen much of him either. I mean, to me, Carlin is king. Like he's the only guy. Funny story about me and
Lenny
Carlin.
Bruce is basically, I mean, if we're talking presidents, Lenny Bruce is basically the George Washington of stand-up comics. Like he was like the first really like obscene, the first guy that did like the observational comedy where he talked about like, you know, the politics and the religion and the sex and all that kind of shit, to the point that he actually got convicted by for obscenity in the 60s. So like Lenny Bruce is kind of the OG George Carlin slash Bill Hicks comedian.
Okay, okay. See, I did not know that. So he's George Washington. Where would you fit Carlin though? Because Carlin, like, if we're going by presidents and people that are honored,
Um,
like, he was so good.
I'm trying to. I don't even know who was on Mount Rushmore, so let me look that up. I know it was like Abe Lincoln. I think yeah, Abe Lincoln. I think is George Washington on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, he should. I mean, I would hope that.
Okay, so then that would be Lenny Bruce. And it's Abe Lincoln, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Teddy Roosevelt. So I'm gonna say, oh man, I think Carlin fits with Abraham Lincoln just because he's the most well known of the group, and he's kind of the person that gets the most credit because most people that are alive today are more familiar with Carlin than the other three options. So I'll say
Yeah,
like Lincoln.
I totally agree with that. I was also going to
I,
make a joke that Lincoln was also known for like being so honest, and I feel like nobody had more honest comedy than George Carlin, telling us exactly like it is. So yeah, I definitely agree with the Abe Lincoln spot. But then where would the other two go?
um,
I wish I knew
I
more about
guess
them.
just eyeing it, I would say Bill Hicks would be Jefferson, and then I guess that just leaves Richard Pryor to be Teddy Roosevelt.
Hey, I wish I could contribute more, but again, there were some that I was unfamiliar with. But that I'll just take your word for it. That sounds good to me. So I guess we can move on.
All right, our fourth and final question, or that was our fourth and final. So up next, we've got four questions from Brandon Best. John, actually no, Johnny Goodfellow. What's your favorite kind of cookie?
Snickerdoodle, of course. Oh god, I just had a batch come out of the oven, and oh my god, yum yum in the tum tum, guys. So happy. So yeah, Snickerdoodles. Oh god, I said yum yum in the tum tum. Why? Why do you let me live with myself this way? What's his next question?
All right. So next question is for both of us. Thoughts on the match style of Luthez?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm picking up the bits of my pancreas. Luthez, just brilliant. Now, here's the thing, Brandon. I am sorry. Like, I was hoping to watch some full length Luthez matches, but I did watch the 9 minute like submission master video that you sent as kind of like a primer. And yeah, man, like again, because everybody knows that I have a soft spot in my heart for Cornette. Like, I disagree with him about most shit, but I can understand his appreciation for that old school style. And to me, nobody embodies that more than Luthez. Like when you look at how he transitions into a submission or how he works a hold, it does. Like it looks so legitimate. Like if I was a kid growing up and watching that, hell, I could be an adult man watching that because of, the cultural context of, Luthez's time, and I would believe it was the most legit thing on earth. I especially like how the guy does a head scissors because I'm not used to seeing it like that, and he's just he's got a real finesse to his grappling that I really appreciate, and everything's so fluid and so clean, and again, so real looking. So yeah, like Luthez, you talk about like how famous he is, how he kind of was really kind of foundational to the sport, not the sport, but see, I would call it a sport back then because it was just so believable to the entertainment of professional wrestling. And yeah, I think he was so crucial to that. And Luthez, absolutely a genius. And Brandon, because he promised me that he was going to ask more fun questions after, like the whole gender thing and then 13 Reasons Why before that. Like he knows I'm a fan of the catch wrestling and the scientific style. And yeah, like Luthez was absolutely a pioneer of that. Him, Sakuraba, Billy Robinson, like just all fantastic and all brilliant. So yeah, Luthez gets nothing but a big thumbs up for me. Do you have anything you can say about this? I don't know if you watched the same video I did, or if you like even are like aware of any kind of Luthez history. So what are your thoughts on this?
I like his press.
Well, there you go. There you go. What's Brandon's next question?
Why is the Kingdom Hearts intro so freaking good? And he specified the first game or Birth by Sleep.
I don't know, man. It's just a great fucking theme. Cause like when you asked that question, Brandon, like I didn't go out and search it, though I probably will now. So thanks. But like it was playing in my head, and I'm like, God damn it! So it's like that thing that once it gets you, it never leaves. And I'm sure Ashton, you could appreciate that more than anybody with music, with how songs can sometimes get stuck in.
Yeah, which is a great reason for me to not check it out.
Exactly, yeah, because then we're gonna be playing around. Don't you walk away? God damn it! So yeah, Kingdom Hearts theme, it's classic. I remember the commercials for it too, because we only ever owned the first one, and yeah, it's a great track, great game, kind of frustrating at times, but yeah, it's just so good because it is. I really can't give any other reason than that. It's good marketing, Brandon. It's good marketing. So I don't know if you have anything to add, Ashton, to that, but we can move on if you don't. So.
All right. Well, the fourth and final question is just for me, and he's asking me what my favorite fast food joint is.
So what is it?
Probably KFC.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just talking about like pure attainability, pure just like convenience, I'd probably just roll with McDonald's because I like their chicken. They have good nuggets. They have good chickens. They're little like buttermilk chicken fingers or whatever the hell they are, the new things that they're putting out. And they used to have chicken selects, which I thought were better, but they're still good. But as far as just pure flavor, from what I've tasted at least, I gotta roll with KFC, man. I love
yeah.
Chicken tenders are great with barbecue sauce. Their potato bowls are good. They've got good biscuits, good cookies. Like, yeah, man, KFC's got great stuff. It's just pretty high in calories and it's usually pretty goddamn expensive. So I don't really get KFC very often, but it's still delicious.
I got to give KFC another chance because, like, my only experience with KFC, and I think I've told you this, was the popcorn chicken. That because I was a stupid child, I'm like, man, those chicken pieces look huge because it's TV. And then you go there and they're nothing. But, you've told me about, like, the potato bowls and, like, all the delicious stuff they offer. It's just, I'm sorry, man. You know that, like, and ironically, this is another fast food chain I gave a second chance. Like, Wendy's is my crack. And like, I can't even go there often, because there's nothing local. Like, we have to go out of town to get there. But when we do, man, like those 4 for $4 meals are just amazing. I love their chicken nuggets. I love their fries and the Frosty. If humanity has done anything right, it's the fucking Frosty. But yeah, hearing you speak about KFC, I've got to give it a second chance one of these days and see if it can get on my good side too. So with that rounds out Brandon's questions. Who's next?
Yeah, I was even going to say, because with the potato bowls, like people, I remember when the potato bowls first came out, there was like this big deal, like, oh, it's diabetes in a bowl. Potato bowl has basically the same amount of calories and shit in it as like a Whopper, like one singular Whopper that you would get from Burger King. So it's really not, I mean, you shouldn't eat anything else with it if you do get one, but it's really not that horrible.
Right.
Anyway. So up next, we have 4 questions from Super Blue. The first one is actually for John. But before we get to that, we do have a $2 super chat from James. He said, like the video or I won't kill myself.
That seems like a paradox that on any other day I'd really want to play with, but now's not the time. So, what's the first question from Super Blue?
John, if you took the Lion King and put it in Lucha Underground, what part of the story would you change and who would you give it to?
Okay. So, I would change the part, obviously, where Simba triumphs. I would You good? And I would
I
I
love it.
would
That's your
I would
go-to. The
God,
worst part of that movie was when the good guy won. I mean, come on.
dude, did you actually no, I don't wanna get off track. Um, but I guess, yeah, where Simba won, so Simba to me would be well, now that Ray's gone, I guess El Dragon Azteca and Scar. You know what? If this is just my headcanon, Super Blue, and I can do what I want, Scar would be Cage possessed by the gauntlet. So that would be who would get Scar. And yeah, he would just obliterate fucking Simba in the form of El Dragon Azteca, who I really want to build as like that next top babyface in Puma's place. So yeah, that's my answer to that.
Well, okay then.
Yeah. What's next?
Okay, up next, second question from Super Blue. This one's for both of us. What should WWE do with Absolution now that Paige can't wrestle for WWE? And how do you feel about Paige's career?
Um, See, this is difficult for me because I have to assume that Paige can't like take any bumps. Like they don't want to put her at risk. Because for me, honestly, I would have Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose like turn on her for showing quote unquote weakness and getting that heat and going out on their own. While Paige, I guess just did whatever. But I feel like that'd be in poor taste for many reasons. Because like one, you could be endangering her, and two, like, you don't want them to go out like that because if you did that, right, you'd always leave it in the back of their minds like, oh, Paige is going to come back and get her vengeance. And I think it's very wrong, and I'm being serious here, to give audiences false hope with a character. I think that's very manipulative, and we want to avoid that. So maybe just quietly do their own. I don't know. It's really a conundrum as far as Paige's career. And again, I don't mean to be an asshole, but the word that comes to mind is disappointing, and it's not even because of anything she did. It's just more disappointing in the sense of what could have been. I
I
mean,
mean, it's partially because of something she did, all things considered. She did
yeah,
bend twice.
yeah. I mean, I don't want to be too hard on her though. I mean, look, everybody makes mistakes, and it seemed like she was really committed to having a run. And she's so young and so talented. And unlike Natalia, she isn't obnoxious about her lineage. She shows us it's in her blood. And I have nothing but respect for. I still remember the early conversations when we reviewed, old NXT and like how high we were on Paige. I think I remember even saying like I felt like that she was going to go down in the ranks of like a Lita or a Trish and just be one of those really pioneering females. And in some respects she was. I mean, she got to end AJ's at that point record-breaking reign, and she was off to a great start. It's just she never really, I'll put it to you like this. Paige's career, I guess, was fine for what it was, but to me, she never fulfilled her true potential. And
Yep.
that to me is the tragic element of all this. So I'm gonna hand it over to Ashton. What do you think about what they should do with Absolution? What do you think about Paige's career?
I mean, as far as Absolution goes, I think they're probably going to keep them around and just have Paige continue doing what she's been doing and just kind of being their manager rather than being a part of the team.
Right.
Um, I almost have to wonder if WWE would want to introduce a women's tag championship just to kind of give that to Absolution to give them that rub. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I feel like that's pretty far way off. But yeah, man, I don't really know. The future's pretty hazy. It wouldn't surprise me if they just kind of got the Dana Brooke treatment where like WWE pushes them to the forefront for a little bit and then they don't really deliver because they're not really that good as performers. And then they just kind of get brought back into like the background and we just kind of don't see them for months at a time. And when they do show up, it's in random like comedy bit segments.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to see. And as far as Paige's career goes, I mean, what are your sentiments on that?
I agree with you. Disappointing. I have a major problem with the way WWE treats their wrestlers as far as injuries go. Because first of all, they're always pushing for wrestlers to work injured, and then they're also always pushing for them to come back before they're fully recovered from whatever surgery or whatever it might be that they had to go through to get their shit fixed. And I think Paige is another situation like that. And the thing is, like, it's not just that WWE pushes them to come back or wants them to work hurt. It's that there is this consistently instilled mindset in the performers that if they don't work hurt or if they don't come back early, they're going to lose their spot. So it's a really toxic environment when it comes to one's ability to take care of their own body, and especially when you have these young kids like, Bo Dallas when he was in NXT was like 21 years old. Paige when she came in was like 19 or 20. All kinds of examples. And Sasha I think was 20. Alexa was 20 or 21. All these younger kids coming in and being expected to work this WWE schedule. And yeah, they get taught how to work a relatively safe style because the WWE style, if nothing else, is designed to be safe. But at the end of the day, your schedule is killing these people. Like, and that's main roster more specifically. But and Paige especially. Like, this is a girl that was taking bumps when she was 13.
Yeah.
She can't like you don't start doing the pro wrestling stuff like taking bumps on a regular basis at 13 and grow up to have a functional body. Like that just can't be something that happens. Like you fucked your shit up when you were going through puberty. Your body is not going to develop like a normal healthy human beings would develop. So yeah, the fact that she had the scoliosis is unfortunate, but you can't even be surprised by that. That's probably a direct result of her taking bumps while she was going through fucking puberty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, like disappointing, yes, but at the same time, I really just kind of am at the point that I'm just kind of past it. I'm just kind of over it. And as unfortunate as it is, and as much as I would love to see some kind of action be taken, or for Paige to be able to get some kind of health insurance payout of some kind, or I don't even know what would happen that would just kind of help her out to get her life on track. I don't know, but it's probably not going to happen. I'm guessing nothing's going to happen. But at the end of the day, nothing's going to happen to cure or to solve the source of the issue either. So you can just kind of, if you can't look past that, then just stop supporting the company. And if you want to keep on supporting the company, you have to look past it because constantly complaining about it isn't going to do shit.
Fair enough. Let's move on.
All right. So then we had a third question from Super Blue. Will there be any changes to WrestleMania reactions or will it be the same as last year?
As far as I know, the same as last year, right?
Yeah. I'm not planning on changing anything. I don't know what changes there would be. Maybe just because of how long it's getting, but um yeah, I think we might do like a separate reaction video for each pre-show match since those are typically spaced out by a good like 5 to 15 to maybe even 20 minutes each. But then as far as the main card goes, we're just going to go pillar to post, brother.
Yeah. All right. Well, you got your answer there. Next question.
Next question is our fourth and final question from Super Blue. For all that has happened with the cruiserweight division, is it officially time to kill 205 Live? And of course, he also added thoughts on Enzo and Big Cass's situations.
Don't really want to say much about Enzo. I'm gonna wait for all the facts to bear out. I will say I've been keeping abreast of it, and it's really crazy. But I'm just gonna wait for the final determination on that. Cass, it's just sad because it seemed like he was really building momentum, and then he got injured. And you know what I always say about injuries, guys? One man's misfortune is another man's opportunity. I mean, such is the case with Samoa Joe and Elias. I adore Joe, but am I elated for Elias? Absolutely that he got his chance with Cass. I don't know how he's going to fix back into the mold, especially with no Enzo to work off of. Maybe he'll come back as a heel. Maybe it'll be one of those things where like he could be a babyface big guy. I don't know. As far as 205 Live, it's a shame because like really to me, I never liked the concept of 205 Live to begin with. And my biggest complaint is like it's a sandbox that you can't venture out of. I don't understand why we can't go back to how the cruiserweights were done in like say the Ruthless Aggression era, where yeah, you have your title, but if Cedric Alexander wanted to, he could walk up to the Miz and be like, "Hey, your Intercontinental title's looking pretty good. I want a shot at it." Like I don't have a problem with cruiserweights. I don't even have a problem with the cruiserweight championship. I have a problem with the sandbox that is 205 Live. So I'm going to answer you like this. I would get rid of that. I would liberate the cruiserweights, but then I would treat them like anybody else on the roster. Have two guys pair up, go after tag titles. Have one guy have mid-card ambitions. Hell, have one guy that may be so talented they want to go after the world title. I mean, sure, it's probably laughable because it's Roman fucking Reigns, but still, like, liberate your performers. And like, yeah, I'm self-aware enough, right, to add
well, no, but I mean, even if you're liberating your performers, and they don't all have to go to Raw, we could get someone challenging AJ. I mean, I don't think anyone complain about like Grand Metalik versus AJ in a one-off, kind of the way we got Adrian Neville versus Seth Rollins that one time on Raw.
Exactly. I mean, dude, a guy like Drew Gulak with his technical precision and stuff going after somebody like a Sami Zayn, because maybe him and Kevin Owens bully Gulak because of his PowerPoints. And then Gulak's like, nobody mocks my PowerPoints. I mean, dude, my God, you know what a big fan of Itami I am. I would love him and AJ Styles to go one-on-one. So, yeah, no reason to get rid of these guys. Just get rid of the cage that is 205 Live. Liberate your cruiserweights. Hashtag liberate the cruiserweights. So that's my answer on that. What about you, Ashton? Because again,
hashtag liberate the cruisers.
Yes. So what about you? Because he asked about the cruiserweights and he also asked about Enzo and Cass. So what are your thoughts on all that?
All right, so I'll work backwards. I'll work from the end of the question to the beginning. As far as Enzo and Cass go, I know John doesn't want to comment on the Enzo situation, but I will, and I apologize if I offend anybody, but I think that the Enzo situation was handled incredibly poorly by all parties. Enzo, I understand probably what he was going through. I mean, I haven't actually been through anything like what he's gone through, but I can probably assume that he knew, or I'm basing my entire opinion on the fact that he didn't do shit that was like against this girl's consent. Because if you've seen some of the shit that's been put out there, this chick is apparently A, very mentally unstable, and B, literally bragged to her friend that she was in bed with Enzo. So I don't think you brag about being raped. So I'm basing everything off of the idea that he did not rape her. They just had sex consensually. She seemed awfully goddamn into it to call it rape. But yeah, Enzo probably said to himself, oh, well, this is a bunch of bullshit. I'm not actually going to get in any kind of trouble for this. My lawyer is going to be able to pull up some proof that I didn't do anything. I'm going to get off scot-free. Why bother telling the WWE? But that was his mistake, because you should always tell your employer when you're being investigated for something like this, even if it means you're going to get suspended, because then if it turns out that you were right and you get cleared, you're going to get to come back to work and you're going to get the spot that you left off. And in Enzo's case, he is the only really amazingly charismatic heel on the 205 roster. And that spot's not going away. So you're good, Enzo. You're set. You can stick around, and you might have gotten suspended, but you would have been able to come right back as soon as the charges were cleared. So that's my position on Enzo. And WWE, I mean, I agree that it's kind of messed up that Enzo didn't tell you, but to just fire the dude, like at that point, it feels like you're looking for an excuse to fire somebody. Like, it seems like Enzo had some backstage heat, and I didn't know if he had kind of redeemed himself in the eyes of the locker room or not, but it seems like he sure as hell didn't redeem himself in the eyes of management, because if this was a Randy Orton or a John Cena or a Roman Reigns or somebody seen as inexpendable, there's no fucking way they would have gotten fired. They would have stayed suspended probably, but there's no way they would have gotten fired. But it was Enzo, and he's a lower card guy and had some backstage heat, so of course they were okay with letting him go. Big Cass, on the other hand, I don't really have much of an opinion on. I've never really been a big fan of him as a performer. He's got a good voice, but I really hate when he talks like a big dope. But then when he was cutting his heel promos, he was getting crazy amounts of heat. I think if he would come back and cut a promo talking about how the real scumbag turned out to be Enzo and not him, but just continue healing it up in the same process, he could still be a great top heel. I just don't know if WWE sees him that way because of course, that awful injury-prone label that these guys are going to get. And Cass has had multiple lower body injuries now. So that's kind of how that comes. And then, of course, as far as the cruiserweights in 205 Live, I'm not superstitious. I don't believe in curses. So no, I don't think you should just abolish the cruiserweight division because a few people that are in it have had some kind of problem, whether it's getting fired or asking for their release or getting this, the sexual assault allegation with Enzo and all that kind of shit. It's all just pure coincidence. It's not like weights are more likely to do that. It's just a bad series of unfortunate events. And yeah, I think the cruiserweight division, I'm kind of with John in the sense that I wish that they were more openly able to interact with non-cruiserweights. Like, to me, the cruiserweight division should be exclusive, but it shouldn't also be um mutually inclusive. It shouldn't be that anyone that's in the cruiserweight division can't be in any other competition. I think that if you're in the cruiserweight division, that should just be like a side gig, that you're kind of like a part of this exclusive club where you're under 205 pounds. But also, I don't think that there should be that hard separation between guys under 205 and over 205 live, or an over 205 pounds. I think that if you're under 205, you should be able to be in the cruiserweight division and whatever the hell else you want. But if you're over 205, you shouldn't be allowed to be in the cruiserweight division. But sure, go ahead, do anything else you want. Doesn't matter. So that's kind of my view on that situation. How do you feel about anything I said there, John?
It's all fine with me, brother. Let's move on to our next question.
Our next question is from Races Fan Rocks 4. And all 4 of his questions are for both of us, so I don't have to worry about specifying who it's for. First up, what sport would you like to start watching more frequently? And I'll go first for this one because you went first with the last one. Soccer, aka football. I definitely would like to start watching it more because Rocket League is basically soccer with cars. So I feel like I would be able to relate to the actual sport a little bit better, knowing how often I play Rocket League. So that's just a big one that I would be interested in. John?
Amateur wrestling. I've still been looking for appropriate outlets because I hear Flow Wrestling is trash. Like, because they charge, like, and that's the only reason I haven't done it. They charge like $20 a month, and there's no way I'm paying that for that when there are other things that I would much rather my money go to. And I know ESPN is a streaming service that I may look into because I think that's only like the same price as the network, which to me is more reasonable. But yeah, if I could just find a stream, let me tell you guys this. If I could just find an appropriate stream or avenue to consume like amateur wrestling and keep up with like the high schools and the Olympic teams and all that stuff, I would get into that the way Ashton's into football. Because like I love it. Like Greco-Roman, freestyle, like I love the technique. You guys know I'm a fan of like catch wrestling, all that stuff. So I would love to immerse myself more into it. It's just finding the mediums with which to do it. And that's been so difficult for years. Like, this isn't even a new problem for me. It's been a long-standing problem, and it kind of sucks. But, yeah, definitely amateur wrestling because I love it. You know, it's great stuff. Next
up, second question from Races Fan Rocks 4. Who would you like to see at BOLA 2018, John?
Ooh. God, if women could compete, I'd love to see Emma in BOLA. BOLA,
she could be the second female ever to compete in PWG. That would be so awesome.
Yeah, BOLA 2018. I think about some independent acts. I mean, yeah, like they've already got a pretty stacked group of people. Like, Matt Riddle being in it this past year was cool. Obviously, Skrull's always an easy go-to. Zack Sabre Jr. I'm trying to think of anybody new. They got Mundo, which I thought was great. Ray Horace will probably do it this year. Was he even in it like last year? I don't know if
I think he was, yeah.
We know Jeff Cobb is because I was gonna say Matanza, but that's Jeff Cobb. Maybe you know what? Marty the Moth in BOLA 2018.
Yes!
The PWG stuff. Yeah, Marty the Moth.
Yeah, by the way, Ray Horace was in BOLA, but he lost in round 1 to Ray Phoenix.
Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna say, how do you pronounce his last name? Cassius? No, that's the villain of Agents of Shield. I
think it's just Casaus.
Casau. See, that is exotic. That is sexy as fuck. Hey Marty, if you're listening to this, your last name's sexy as fuck. But yeah, Martin Casaus, like Bouse, could just be in PWG this year. I really, really dig that idea. So that's what I'm gonna say.
Nice.
What about you, brother? Who you got for BOLA?
I mean, a couple obvious names, just if one of them can get out of their WWE contract in time, would be Daniel Bryan, and then the other one, if he is interested in coming back into wrestling at all, would be CM Punk.
Oh yeah. What do you think about?
But I love the Marty the Moth idea. What did you say something when I was talking there?
No, I was gonna say, what did you think of Jarveras' suggestions in chat, like Suzuki or Mill in BOLA? Would you be open to either of those?
Mill in BOLA would be incredible, but I don't know if his body is really able to hold up that like 3 days straight, multiple matches a day kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that would be incredible. I would fucking love Mil Muertes in BOLA. That'd be incredible. And it would have to be in character as Mil. It wouldn't be able to be El Macias or whatever the hell he is in AAA.
Right.
Kenny Omega has worked PWG shows before. It'd be nice to see him in BOLA. Switchblade in Bola would be nice.
Hell, Juice Robinson, if we're throwing Gaijins out there,
Juice
I
would
think
be
Juice would be
cool
good
since
for
we're
a
just
team.
talking New Japan guys at this point. Yeah. I want to see Cheeseburger in a Bola eventually. I mean, we've never seen that. I want ACH back in Bola. I think he's been in a few before.
That would be great. I like that choice. That'd be a great choice, dude. Yeah, I'm friends with that.
Yeah. Let's see. Who else can I name? Oh, Dalton Castle in a Bola, please.
I'll throw one more Lucha Underground name out there that I would love. King Cuerno in a bowl, I think would be fucking excellent. I'd love
Yes.
his technical style.
Dude.
With anybody, yeah.
Apparently, Dalton Castle has been in a Bola before. It was the 2016 Bola. He had 2 matches, one against Ciampa, one against Trevor Lee, and I think he might have been in a tag match. But I just want him in Bola again because I just can't get enough of Dalton Castle, and I don't watch Ring of Honor, so I don't get enough of him as is.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Jimmy Havoc in Bola.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Jesus Christ. I want Jimmy Havoc and Lucha Underground, please. Jimmy, come home.
I'm pretty sure Angelico has been in Bola. He was in 2015, but that's still a good answer. Hiromu Takahashi was in Bola as Hama Itachi. That was his CMLL name. So he has been in a Bola. I wouldn't mind him coming back because that was 2016 as well. I wouldn't mind him coming back. But yeah, a lot of these names that were thrown out there have been in Bola before, just not 2017.
Right. Well,
that's a. I love Ella. I want food in my Bola.
She's such a ham.
God damn it.
All right. So next question.
Next question. Do you think we will ever see another CZW versus Ring of Honor feud again? No.
No, I'm gonna say no. We can move on. I didn't even know there was
one of those promotions has television, the other doesn't. There's a lot of leverage on one end.
Exactly. Yeah, just not feasible to me.
Book a World Cup of Wrestling using Progress, Lucha Underground, and NXT superstars, both male and female. Ooh, I'm gonna let you go first.
How many people for a cup team? Do they specify?
No, I think it would. Oh, damn. I mean, World Cup is kind of, I don't know, man. I guess just do singles and let's maybe name like 16 people between those 3 promotions.
Okay, so like, yeah, I guess that works. Goddamn. Progress. God, I don't even know who their current roster is because we're only on chapter 4 with what we're watching. So with
I mean, name a big deal British wrestler, whether it's in New Japan or PWG, and they probably came from Progress.
Timothy Thatcher, right? I know is isn't he still the Progress champion, or did he drop the belt?
I don't know if he still is, but I know he has been recently.
Yeah. So I guess Timothy Thatcher, Evil East for Lucha Underground, Taya for Lucha Underground. Definitely Mundo, because obviously Lucha Underground wants to win. So,
or no, you know what? I think Thatcher, you might be thinking of Evolve, not Progress.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. See, this is why it's going to be so difficult for me. I guess for Progress, I'm only going to go with the names that I know, that we've watched. So Jimmy Havoc, Mark Andrews, the London Riots. Let me see. That's 4 entities right there. Nathan Cruz, El Ligero. That's 6. And then I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna just stop at 6 for Progress. Lucha Underground, Evil East, Taya, Mundo, PJ Black, Pentagon Dark, Mil Muertes. That's 6. And then NXT, they said?
Yep.
Adam Cole. Actually, you know what? Whole Undisputed Era. I'm going to put it in their hands because I can't think of more capable hands than Adam Cole and company.
So just to be clear, you named 6 from Lucha, 6 from Progress, so that you only have 4 slots left for NXT.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because you said 16 overall.
Well, yeah, because I'm thinking we're going to do a tournament.
Right. So,
I mean, unless you want to do like round robin style and name 20 guys and do like G1 style.
Oh God, no, that would be way too insane. So for
I mean, that's World Cup-y.
For NXT, then I'll say Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano.
Okay.
Shayna Baszler.
Ooh, oh yeah, is she the first female you've even mentioned?
Well, no, I mentioned quite a few.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
And Kairi Sane. So
nice.
Yeah. All right, what about you, brother?
All right. So, sadly, I can't name Emma because she's not officially in Lucha Underground yet, so that kind of murders my face.
Right.
Progress. Let's go Marty, Jimmy, Will, Walter, ZSJ. I'm going to leave it at that for now.
Okay.
Lucha, I'm going to go Matanza, Mill. Oh, and you know what? For progress, let me also add in Tony Storm.
Ooh, I love it.
So
Love
that's
it.
6. So that's 6. For Lucha, Mill, Matanza, Cage, just because I love my gargantuan slobber knockers. Let's see. Mundo, Taya, and PJ.
Nice. I like that.
And then, and you know what? I want to do a round robin tournament. So I'm going to name 20 people, toss in Jack Evans from Lucha, just so we can get an actual Lucha, like high flying guy. None of the other people I named were really fit that. And then NXT, I'm going to do Gargano, which I love. Almas. I can't believe you didn't name him.
I know. I knew one of us would.
Cole, Black, Dream. I don't want to have Shayna Baszler in there because she would have to lose, and I don't want her to lose already. If this takes place later on in 2018, Drew McIntyre.
Okay.
And then I have one last person to name because I'm up to 19 and I want 20 because it's a round robin and I'm going to do blocks of 10. I guess Marty the Moth. Shit, yeah.
All right. That sounds fucking stacked to me.
So just to get this clear, I did 8 from Lucha, 6 from Progress, 6 from NXT. So a little different, but I guess you know where my allegiances lie.
Absolutely. All right, brother. That was stacked. I made a cut myself. So what's our next question?
So for your cup, what would be your finals and who would win?
Let's see. Well, I would want to destroy the universe. So Johnny Mundo versus Adam Cole. And that was the most amazing squee ever. I am so glad this is recorded. I'm gonna find the timestamp for that and just play it on a loop. And Johnny Mundo wins, but is it really winning when the universe just eats itself? So there you go. I'll leave you all.
I mean, if you're Johnny Mundo and you can survive past the universe, I think so. Yeah.
Absolutely. What are your finals looking like then? Who do you like? Because I know it's like round robin. So who's really coming out ahead here?
Yeah. So my A block champion. Our chat reactions are finally coming in for my squee, and it's hilarious. Hey, my A block champion. Shit. Man. I think my A block champion would be God, this is hard. You know what? I know we have a lot of slobber knockers in this because we have like 6 or 7 gigantic human beings that can just beat the shit out of anyone. I'm still laughing at our chat reactions.
Dude, I think you might have killed Iconic because he can't even breathe right now. That squee was legendary, though. I'm so glad I did the table setting for that. Oh my god, you gave Foster an erection. Oh Jesus, what even is our audience?
Holy shit. I didn't know I had this much power. God damn.
You need to start abusing it maliciously.
No, never. God, no, please, Iconic. Anyway, shit, you guys have given me time to think about this and I still can't decide. So I'm just going to throw a dart at a board and say my finals, again, assuming this is later on in 2018 when he's back healthy, my finals would be Drew McIntyre versus Jeff Cobb. Holy shit.
Oh, I fucking love that. Almost as much as I love the idea of that squee being anyone's ringtone. Can you imagine that just on a loop? I'd answer the phone every time.
You wouldn't answer the phone because you'd want to let it keep playing.
Yeah, you're right. And it's so much better than the whole like ringtone that I fucking got on my phone. So yeah, kudos to you, bud. Next.
Oh, all right, next. Where even were we? Span Rocks. That was the final question from Racist Fan Rocks. So we have 4 questions now. I'm sorry, 3 questions now from Ella. Ella says stuff. First up, for both of us, if you guys could have an all expenses paid trip to WrestleMania, would you go?
Oh yeah, if they're paying my expenses, I want to go. But the dream now is Wrestle Kingdom for me. Either that, and even before that, going to Boyle Heights and getting to be a part of a set of Lucha Underground taping. So it's Lucha Underground,
especially if it's for Ultima Lucha.
Yeah, so I'll put that's actually perfect, Ashton. It's Ultima Lucha, then Wrestle Kingdom, then WrestleMania. But if they're gonna pay our expenses, I'm still gonna say yes because 3rd place is still bronze. So I'm down for that. What about you, brother?
But let me be very specific. If it's us, meaning you and I both are going and having an all expenses paid trip, then yes, I'm doing it. But if it's just me, I'd say no. Because I don't generally like the arena atmosphere.
Dude, I could tell you if it was me going by myself and I didn't even have like you to rely on and kind of pal around with, it would give me such anxiety. I would say no too. So I'm actually glad you put that caveat in there because yeah, I ain't going for that. That seems like a mess for a product that I'm not necessarily mad about because I think WWE is getting a little bit better, but I'm not nearly as enthused again as I would be about like Boyle Heights and New Japan. And plus, friendship makes everything better. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Next.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, up next, I guess or wait, did I even answer that question?
Well, yeah, because you said
I said
like,
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
God, I'm flustered. Anyway, next question. Just for you, John, what's your favorite fiction book that you've ever read?
I'm gonna kind of pull a you here when I feel like I have a lot to say. I'm gonna qualify this question because my favorite standalone fiction book, and if my husband is still in chat, he'll appreciate this, is Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky because Dostoevsky is literary crack. I fucking love that dude. If we're talking about a book series, I've always been a fan of, and I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before because we've been doing this a long ass time. The Shadow Children series by Margaret Peterson Haddix. I still think it holds up. It's a great critique of totalitarianism because it's a society where every like third born and thereafter is illegal, and they have like a population police that like does exactly that, population control. And it's great. The characters are great. The worlds are just, they're harrowing at times, but they're believable, especially in this climate. I'm wondering what she's written recently. I even got to message the author and tell her how much her book's meant to me, and she's like, "Oh, I appreciate it." So that was kind of a nerd out moment for me. So yeah, I would say series, Shadow Children series. I don't recommend anybody. I don't care how old you are. I think they're great books. And then yeah, for actual just standalone fiction, Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky, because my God, just all day, all day. So, all right, that was the question for me. What's Ella's 3rd and final question?
Ella's 3rd and final question is just for me. General feelings on what you've achieved with the TWitWoW channel and what it's become up to this point. I'm very proud of what we've done. I'm extremely happy that we've made what we've made, and it's basically just me and my best friend here, John. And
that's me.
Yeah, and we really have kind of created this from the ground up because the biggest sort of push that we've had was, I guess you could say, from Delexman, but even then, like, he would plug us and plug us and plug us and plug us, and we just would not gain subscribers. So really, it is a completely ground up channel because like when I first started doing solo stuff, John plugged me, but John is now a part of the channel. So his fans are here that would have come over from his past channel. So like you can't even say like John building the channel before he was a part of it is like an unfair advantage. We really did just build this shit from ground zero. And if you think about it too, I think we had like under 300 subscribers in May of 2014 when we first started putting TWitWoW on YouTube. And I mean, we've grown over 1,200 since then. And it's been like not even 4 years. So a little over 300 subscribers a year. I'll take it. I think that's pretty great. And and I've also discussed this in previous commentaries and with John and stuff. I don't want us to really like crazily explode and grow like 10, 20, 30,000, 100,000 subscribers in a year, because I feel like with that influx of new people coming into the channel, it would basically dilute the fan base and we wouldn't have such an amazing high quality fan base like we have right now. Like, I don't think you guys realize how much we appreciate how awesome you are for the most part. Like, there are very rare cases, like, and really the only cases that I can think of, it really just comes down to one person who had multiple accounts and kind of tricked people into thinking he was more than one person. But really, the people that make up our audience just makes me so happy because we have the best fans. And like I said, if we would get like 10,000 more people coming in, we might get 10 to 15 more great fans out of that. But then the rest of them would be either like casual, don't give a shit fans, and a few more that would get added would just be awful trolls that we would have to deal with on a daily basis. So I'm really happy with what we've kind of built here. Yeah, it's been pretty awesome. And I also think that, I mean, people say Lucha Underground's shout out helped a lot. I wish it did, man. It really didn't. I appreciate them shouting us out. That's amazing. And just to be able to say that we've been shouted out by an actual television show that's available to watch on cable is amazing. But like, it really didn't, we didn't see any kind of a bump in our subscriber numbers or anything like that when those shout outs happened. And it happened twice, once in season 1, once in season 2. But like I said, we didn't see any kind of bump whatsoever from those shout outs. I mean, I absolutely love that we got them, and I would love it if Lucha Underground gave us a shout out every season. But like I said, the numbers don't really reflect any kind of a jump on or around the time that those shout outs happened. So really, it has been a ground up thing.
Yeah.
And I guess that was just for me, so we can move on. Cliff had 4 questions. Cliff them all, and the first 4 for both of us. First up, if James met Scott Steiner for the first time, describe how that scenario would go.
Oh, I've got this. Well, see, James doesn't really socialize with people as much as size them up for, his next, big kind of sexual escapade. So he'd be sizing Steiner up. They'd probably be, ordering drinks at a Shoney's. James would slip Steiner a little something. And then before Steiner knows it, James is kind of over top of him, ready to, bend Scott Steiner over and really see if he is a big bad booty daddy or not. And then as that's happening, Scott Steiner just faintly gets a wait, what's this gay shit? No, don't blow a load on my ass. And then James just kind of laughs to himself because that's how he copes inside. So yeah, that's exactly how that interaction would go. Scott Steiner would be bewildered by James the entire time, but it's really just James suckering him in. And then Scott Steiner is left just utterly scarred and never really able to shower the same after that. So that's my 2 cents on that. What about you, bud? What do you think an interaction between James and Scott Steiner would be like?
James would approach Scott Steiner and try to introduce himself. And Steiner would just be like, he's fat, and walk away.
Yeah. So you think he'd go away unscathed? That's good news, at least.
I mean, James would probably try to use, what's that shit that you're always talking about using on the guys my mom wants to have?
Oh, chloroform?
Yeah, James would probably try and use chloroform. But I feel like Scott would overpower him before he got a chance for it to really sink in.
That's fair. I'm glad you have faith in Scott Steiner because I don't. But next question.
Next question is, what's the worst excuse given for why a wrestler isn't being pushed?
Injury prone. Easily for me. Easily. Like, I think that's such bullshit. What about you, Ashton?
As far as the injury prone thing, I think it's a lot of bullshit, but that's not the worst excuse, I would say. To me, the worst excuse is, well, they're just not connecting with the crowd. Because to me, do you know how you make someone connect with the crowd? Is you have them win matches. That to me is like the easiest solution. And if somebody is winning a lot of matches and they're still not connecting with the crowd, then that's a whole other thing. But when we're talking about like a Finn Balor or, God, what's another good example? Seth Rollins or like a Dean Ambrose, any of these people that aren't really consistent winners that the WWE says, oh, well, they're not really over enough to be the top guy. If you booked them the way you book Roman Reigns, they would become more over than Roman Reigns has ever been. So that's the worst excuse in my eyes.
Fair enough. Next question.
What are 3 pros and 3 cons about Vince McMahon?
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Con, I think he is like very racist and very sexist, just my opinion from my observations. I think he's a very greedy individual because I think he could treat his employees better, and I don't really think he has any kind of initiative to do that. And 3, he's very neurotic and controlling. Like, he just seems like a guy that'll never really be able to fully 100% let go until he's dead. And I'm not even trying to be hyperbolic. Like, he just seems like a guy, because I've known people like this in my life where maybe like you'll try and do something for them or you'll try and help their vision, but everybody has their own way of doing things, right? But then he would come in and tell you like how all of that was wrong and then just do things his way anyway. He totally strikes me as that type, and I see it as a huge negative. Positives, and I'm gonna try and get through this quickly because I always hate when I kind of mull on these questions. I think he's very ambitious. I mean, even this announcement today about XFL 2020, the idea that this guy still wants to compete and he still has that drive at this stage of his life, I think there's something perversely admirable about that, but maybe that's my perfectionist complex. I have no idea. So I could say his ambition is commendable. Um, I think he knows, at least to a degree, what the people in his inner circle are owed, because, I mean, he seemed to stay with Linda through her whole political ambitions, and now I think she does. I don't know if she's still a part of Trump's cabinet because everybody gets replaced every goddamn day. But, like, oh, honey, I stuck my tongue down every woman's throat on TV so I can let you have this. So I think he knows, like, when to toe that line. And a final good thing. I'd say a final good thing, and I don't want to cop out because it may seem the same as ambitious, but I'd almost say his cutthroat nature, like in a way, could also be good because he knows to look out for himself. He's not a sucker. I think the guy knows like I gotta take care of myself, and I think like not a lot of people know how to do that. I can tell you personally, I don't know how to do that. I'm slowly finding my way, but this is a guy that's like, well, sorry, not my problem. I wish he was a bit more compassionate, obviously, because I just got done saying like he doesn't treat his employees right. But when it comes to competition, I mean, not like internally, but externally, like the guy doesn't fuck around. He'll take care of himself if he needs to. So that's my final good about Vince. What about you, Ashton? What positives and negatives can you come up with about Vincent Kennedy McMahon?
All right. Well, first positive is his performing ability. He is one of the greatest performers in the history of pro wrestling. And in my opinion, he is the singular greatest heel, character, performer, whatever you want to call it, the best heel ever in all of wrestling history, regardless of promotion, anything. Mr. McMahon is the best heel ever.
Yeah.
Second pro, I mean, let's be real. As much as I don't like him, he did give us mainstream pro wrestling. I don't know if anyone else would have been able to do that. It might have been an inevitability that he just happened to be in the right place at the right time to make happen. But at the end of the day, Vince McMahon took wrestling from a local, isolated thing to a national and eventually global entertainment industry. So that's a big pro. And third of all, whether I want to admit it or not, he has been behind some of the greatest moments in the history of pro wrestling ever, namely the Attitude Era and secondary, the Ruthless Aggression Era. As much as I want to believe that it was all other people that had to do with that, Vince still had to be kind of the mastermind putting the whole thing together. He gave Austin a chance when no one else would. He gave The Rock a chance. He even though these guys had to make their own names for themselves and be as great a performers as they were on their own, Vince is the one that gave them that platform. So props for that. Now, even though he's given us some of the greatest pro wrestling moments of all time, he's also given us some of the worst. Katie Vick, Gene Snitsky punting a baby, the almost incest angle that he wanted to do with Stephanie. the bark like a dog segment with Trish, which could be interpreted as good or bad depending on your point of view. But in my point of view, in this case, it's bad. Um, and even more recent shit, like just the incessant insistence to push Roman Reigns as the number one guy, all that shit. Second con about Vince is that he is obsessed with appearance. If you look like a star, you will instantly become one of Vince's favorites and you will be given far more rope to work with than somebody that he perceives as not looking like a star. If you have, and we've already talked about this, for women, it's big boobs, blonde hair, white, it's really kind of a Barbie doll look. And then for the guys, it's big muscles, ripped abs, 6'2" or taller, facial hair, and John Cena is kind of the exception to that rule, that kind of thing. So Vince, the second con really is just Vince McMahon's pure, unadulterated shallowness and how he is obsessed with appearance to the point that he kind of is the biggest reason that a lot of people still think that people won't pay money to see smaller or less physically attractive people perform, even when, we've seen countless examples of that being flat out false. Daniel Bryan is the most recent example. You can go back to Harley Race, Dusty Rhodes. Like, these were not physically attractive people, but they were massive draws in their time. So the whole, you have to look like a certain thing, a certain, prototype in order to be the top star of the company is completely Vince McMahon driven and not fact driven whatsoever. Now, the third and final con about Vince McMahon is his gigantic, huge, massive, and no, I'm not going to say grapefruits, I'm going to say ego, because I have literally watched this man sit down for an interview and start talking and tell the man that was about to interview him, I understand I'm very intimidating. It's okay if you're nervous. That's how much of an ego this guy has. He thinks that because he has money, that he is a literal god. He thinks so much of himself. And it's just one of those things where, yeah, you have a lot of money and you have some power and you're important, but everyone is the same when they die. And you're about 20 years away from that at most, buddy.
Yeah. All right. So I guess next question.
Next question. Where are we even? Oh, Christ. What are 3 pros and 3 cons about Jim Cornette? Should I go first on this one since you did for the last one?
Yeah, you can go first on this one.
All right, 3 pros. Oh, Christ, this is going to be hard. 3 pros about Jim Cornette. Number 1, he's a really good entertaining promo. I will not deny that he cuts very entertaining promos. And he, even to this day, when he decides to choose a target and cut a promo, he is entertaining when he does that. Pro number 2 on Jim Cornette. This is where things get difficult because I already praised him for the only thing I've ever liked him as, and that's a performer. Pro number 2 is Jim Cornette. Ah, shit. I don't want to just keep saying he's entertaining, but that really is all he has going for him, is that he's entertaining.
If you can only name one, brother, I wouldn't see any shame in moving on to the cut, because sometimes 3 just isn't possible, to me. Like, I know there are questions like where we're given a certain number.
Well, let me do this then. Pro number 1 is that he cuts a good promo. Pro number 2 is that he finds a way to keep everything he does entertaining, whether it's a promo or just him getting pissed off at a Dairy Queen worker or the and shit. Like, everything he does, he keeps entertaining. And number 3, I guess I'll say, he does a really, really good job at convincing a lot of people that his opinion is the only correct answer. So even if I don't agree with his opinion, that is an impressive ability to have. So props to you, Jim Cornette, for basically being a cult leader. Now, on to the cons. Con number 1, Jim Cornette is basically a cult leader. He has his followers that all believe every word that comes out of his mouth religiously, and anybody that says anything against Jim Cornette is wrong and should be burned at the stake and doesn't understand what real wrestling is. So that's con number 1. Con number 2, is that I don't think Jim Cornette has amassed this cult following uh deceptively. I think he genuinely believes everything he says is the truth. I think he genuinely believes that his answer is the only answer, even though he's literally never written and or booked, since I know he doesn't like the word writer, a successful wrestling promotion in his life. Smoky Mountain lasted like 3 years and then went under. When he wrote for the WWE, they were in one of the worst spots they've ever been in. When he wrote for TNA, they were god awful. When he wrote for Ring of Honor, they had no growth. So Jim Cornette has a really big reputation for being this great wrestling mind, and yet he's never actually booked a successful promotion other than like OVW, which those numbers could be a complete and total fallacy for all I know, because he makes shit up on the spot. Which brings me to point number 3. Jim Cornette likes to make shit up on the spot. I'm going to leave it at that. I'll move on to you, John. What are your 3 and 3?
Okay, I'm gonna do the things I love because that may even be easier for me than the cons, honestly. Pro number 1, he's a great storyteller. Like I still listen to like excerpts from his podcast and stuff. In fact, I have saved up. I'm probably gonna listen to that Saturday. He reviewed Raw 25, and I'm actually really excited to listen to that. I'm especially excited to hear what he thought about how the revival was used on that show because I know how much he loves the revival. So great storyteller. And even though this is also going to kind of be a con, that also includes like his Vince Russo rants, which I mean, they give me fucking life with some of the gold that he comes up with. Like some of his phrases that come out of his mouth, I'm amazed there aren't t-shirts for them. So yeah, great storyteller. 2, I love, even if I disagree with him, which I do a lot of the time, I love his passion for pro wrestling. Like, if there's one thing you could say about Jim Cornette, it's that he loves the business of pro wrestling. Like, we use the term lifer, and even though he never really competed in the ring, like, this is what this guy is going to do until the day he dies. Even if he's just talking about it on his podcast and doing con appearances, he loves this. And anybody that genuinely loves something, that's a language I speak very fluently, so I respect the hell out of Jim for that. Third thing is I do think some of his insights are actually valuable. Now, again, I've said that I disagree with Jim on like 90 to 95% of things that he says. That still leaves the 5 to 10% unaccounted for. I really do like his parallels of like what makes UFC so successful and how at times like he feels like the wrestling culture is one where you've got to do, 10 times the spots for like, twice the pop. And, that always kind of stuck with me. So, I really can appreciate where Jim's coming from, even if I do feel like, and this is where I'm going to get into the cons, Jim is very myopic. That's con number 1. Like 2 instances, his Barrel of Lucha Underground, I thought was completely like out of touch and disconnected because I think they're doing incredible things over there. And I think for things to survive, they need to evolve, adapt or perish, right? As the saying goes. Um, and his myopic nature can also be unhealthy because I don't know how many of you have watched the Netflix show Glow. Ashton, I watched the first season and I loved it, right? Apparently, Jim never even watched it, but he felt the need to give an opinion on it, and apparently he didn't like it because it was something new, and he's stuck in his time period. So his I want to say myopia, but that's probably not a word. So I'll keep saying myopic nature. His myopic nature, I think, does not do him any favors because I do think he's missing out. So that's con number 1. Con number 2, I do feel like the guy needs to learn. He even says like he has an anger problem. Like Jim Cornette's anger, for as much as like I can enjoy the rants on Russo, and I will readily admit it, doesn't mean that it's not a bit off-putting. Like if I'm Vince Russo, and I'm no Vince Russo lover either, I don't blame him for getting a restraining order and fearing for your life. Because even if it is Cornette, you never know what anybody is capable of in this day and age. If somebody says violently, I want to fucking shoot you in front of your family and stuff like that, I don't care if you're a frail ass, like, I'm taking that seriously, right? So I definitely think the guy has an anger issue for sure. And third and final thing, which I think is kind of piggybacking on some of the cons you listed, I definitely think he romanticizes the time period he was a part of. Were there great things about it? I'm sure there were. Because like you can pick out great things out of any era. When we reviewed WrestleMania 5, what was one thing I said? I loved how colorful the characters were. From Andre, was larger than life, to Jake Roberts, to Rick Rude, and all that stuff. So I'm sure you could pick out good in any era. But shortcomings are shortcomings, and he needs to, I think, be more willing to acknowledge that certain things work. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. I listened to his commentary, and this is before the match happened, on Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho. Now, say what you will about Kenny Omega, you even recently gave him like the most overrated because you feel like, with the star ratings and like what people are saying, like, it's a bit much, even though Kenny is insanely talented. We both admit that. Jim won't even give him that much. Like when he was talking about the build up to the match, he treated it like Chris Jericho was the draw. Now, I love Chris, but Kenny is clearly the draw in this equation. Like he's made his home in Japan. And whether Jim likes it or not, when Kenny Omega can get serious, the same way when Ibushi can get serious, to me, and to a lot of other people apparently, it's believable. I think Jim, and this kind of goes back to his myopic nature, he's too unforgiving of people that betray his vision of wrestling. Like, you wrestle a blow-up doll one time, you can never be a serious wrestler. You do a million super kicks, you can never be a serious wrestler or have psychology in your matches or whatever. Like, this isn't a static concept. It's dynamic, it's fluid, it can change, it can grow, it can retract. It just has those capabilities. And, I think that's so insulting to Kenny Omega as somebody that is a fan of his, but I think even somebody that wasn't can be fair, right? That he's put in all this work, he's cultivated this fan base, and then Jim wants to come in and be like, oh yeah, the 47-year-old, he's the draw. And yeah, it is Chris Jericho, but like Kenny Omega to me is the vision of what pro wrestling is, and honestly is aspiring to be, and rightfully so, in 2018. So I think Jim just needs to learn that, stop romanticizing your period and know that there are good things that come out even from people you hate. So that's my third and final con there, which wraps up that question.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to our next question then, which is our first question of 4 from Ace the Skylord. Will you be watching the not the NFL, the XFL, if nothing else, just to see how bad it'll be?
I'm not watching the XFL. Yeah,
I will. I'll watch it. I'll check it out. I'll see what's going on in there, especially if there are any like familiar names in there, because I know Vince did mention something about Tim Tebow. That would be hilarious. So yeah, I'll check it out when it happens in January or February of 2020 in a couple of years. Yeah, I'll definitely be checking it out.
Honestly, all right, I'll revise my answer. If you're watching it, we've at least got to watch one thing together, right? But then I may just straight up tell you, yeah, I'm never watching that crap again, and you may feel the same. So I'll at least check it out with you, but by myself, no way. That would definitely be something I watch with Ashton because I just wouldn't be inclined to watch it by myself. No desire. So next.
All right. Over under 40% chance we get a confrontation between Chad Gable and Jason Jordan in the Royal Rumble match. I'm going to say under because they're both heel, and I don't even know if Gable will be in the Rumble based on the fact that he's in a tag match earlier on in the night.
I could see them both being in the Rumble match, but I also agree with you on under. In fact, if anything, when I saw this question, I even thought a reunion was more possible because, like you said, they're both heels. And, I'd get more into why I think a reunion's going to happen, but you're going to have to wait for preview predictions, guys. But yeah, I could actually see them teaming up for a little bit. And then maybe like Shelton comes in and that starts some strife. Like, what the hell are you doing? I'm your partner. And then it's kind of like this lover's quarrel of sorts. Like, no, Gable belongs to me. I need his personality to get over.
It would be great if it came down to just the three of them and Gable introduced Jordan to Benjamin and they like shook hands and then they all faced the ramp like waiting for someone.
I know, dude. Yes. So yeah, I'm gonna say under, and I'm actually gonna say over 40% they reunite. So all right. Next question.
Next question's just for me. Are there really people who think that the iconic duo are closet lovers? Yes, there are. 150%. And I mean, to be fair, it's not like they're really going out of their way to make it clear that they're not. They are kind of hinting at it a little bit, but I don't think most people realize that these two women have been best friends for years in Australia before they came to NXT.
Right. All right.
Next question from Ace the Skylords. Fourth and final question from Ace, and it's just for you. If Kairi's NXT Championship win is done similarly to Bayley's, will we get to hear a full-blown Johnny Goodfellow mark out?
Maybe. I would be just so happy. So probably yes. Oh my god. Friendship streamers for everyone. I'd be far more polite though. I think Scumbag curses way too much and I'm just not a fan of the potty mouth. But yes, I would be so happy. Absolutely mark out for days.
Dude, this was just a question for John. I don't know why Goodfellow.
God, I don't even know what's happening to me. Go to the next question. God damn.
We have 4 questions from Mark Shoneman. First up is Maven eliminating Undertaker, the biggest Royal Rumble WTF moment ever. And if not, what is?
I would say because it was Undertaker and because that was Maven, I'll still say yes to that.
Yeah. I really want, just because of my defiant nature, I really want to think of something that's more of a WTF moment. Like maybe like Titus getting in the ring and Ambrose trying to eliminate him, but Titus lacking the proper athleticism to actually get eliminated quickly enough to break the record. But that's not as much of a WTF as Maven eliminating The Undertaker from the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Like, come on now. It's Maven. He's not even around anymore. He was around for what, years, maybe 4?
Yeah.
God, what the hell were you thinking, WWE? I know you wanted Tough Enough to be a thing, but stop trying to make Tough Enough a thing. It's not going to happen. It's worse than
Oh my God, you just got told, WWE. Goddamn.
Second question from Mark Schoeneman. Who is the best and the worst surprise entrant possible in the Women's Royal Rumble? I'll go first on this one. Worst, Ronda Rousey. Best. Oh, racking my brain. Santana Garrett. Go ahead, John.
I'll agree with you about worst Rousey because fuck that idea to death. And best, I'll say Peyton Royce of the Iconic Duo.
Okay. Third question from Mark. If and hopefully when Tennille Dashwood, aka Emma, comes to Lucha Underground, who should be the first 2 or 3 storylines with her?
I think I'm gonna go first here. I'm gonna go against the grain of Lucha Underground, only to build her like into the grain later. I want to say Taya first is kind of like a territorial thing. Like
that was my answer too. Yes.
Yeah. Just as a lead in, because then the next 2 feuds, I've been wanting her to feud with Cage, so I have to put Cage on there.
Yes. How do we have the same ideas? Is the no?
And then, well, yeah, honestly, I'd be cool with that. Because I was kind of struggling for the third one, but if you were thinking Mundo, dude, you know I want Mundo to work with everybody.
Because I was thinking Taya, then Mundo, then Cage.
Okay, yeah, you know what? That's fine with me. Maybe we could even start like, ooh, Tennille could be kind of like a plot device because maybe like Johnny would come down hard on Taya for losing, and then Taya could be like, well, if you're so bad, why don't you go and beat Tennille tonight? And then Tennille beats Mundo, and then that continues their strife for when Taya goes Technico, and then Tennille would move on to Cage. Yeah,
who would be the champion at the time? That would be her championship match.
Yeah, dude, yes, I want it. Yes, I 100% yes to all of that.
All right, fourth and final question from Mark. How long before Cena and Rock are in a movie together? I'll give it 3 years.
You know what? I'm going to say 2020 on that. So I'll give it 2 years, just one below you. So 2020.
But I mean, here's the thing. If it happens in December of 2020, that's still closer to 3 years.
That is true. You're all right, Ashton. But no, I do actually think it's close. Yeah, I do think it's close.
To be fair, by saying I'll give it 3 years, I'm basically saying I'll give it until January of 2019. So that pretty much is just, or not 2021.
And you know what? I'll simplify things. I'll just agree with you because that seems like a fair assessment, especially if you're gonna do all the crunching like that. Like, goddamn. So yeah, that's fine with me.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. Next question. 4 questions from Abel Herrera. First, do you think the main event of WrestleMania 34 will be?
You know what? I'm actually gonna. You know what? I'm gonna go out on a bit of a limb here.
Oh, that's
and not really much of a limb when I think about it. Roman Reigns as the champion.
Ooh.
Versus Royal Rumble winner that year. And I'm totally going to change.
Dude, WrestleMania 34 is the WrestleMania that's happening in like 3 months.
That's so easy. Reigns versus Lesnar. I thought we were doing something cool. I guess I was thinking WrestleMania 35. Sorry.
Yeah.
I totally took all the inspiration out of my answer. But yeah, Reigns versus Lesnar. Duh. God.
I'm curious though. I mean, just because we didn't get this question, what would you say for Mania 35 then? Reigns as champion versus
Rollins. I was gonna say winning.
Rollins. Okay, nice.
Yeah. And
yeah, I'm there with you though. The WrestleMania 34 main event is 150,000% going to be Roman challenging Brock. So
how dare you make me feel things, Abel, because I misunderstood your question, which is totally your fault. God.
Second question, how long do you think this brand extension is going to last? The last one lasted what, like, I don't know, a decade?
Yeah, I could see 15 years for this one. I think they're in it for the long haul because if they keep doing these shakeups, they have a method to keep it intact.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I'll give it 15.
It's not a draft, it's a superstar shake, like John said.
Why does your silliness have to get to me so much? God damn it. All right, yeah, 15 years for me. Next question.
All right. uh, which wrestler signed by the WWE currently has the most mega star potential?
Aleister Black.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, Aleister Black. Easily. Easily.
I'm going to say Drew McIntyre.
That's fair too. That's absolutely fair. But you know how much I'm banking on Aleister Black. So
You want to know why I said I disagree with you on Black, though?
oh, you said you disagree. I thought you said agree. So I misheard you. Why do
No,
you
I said
disagree?
I don't agree with that.
Why is that?
Two reasons. First of all, only 6 feet tall, not tall enough for Vince to push as a megastar. And second of all, Dutch accent.
Hmm. Honestly, I could see him overcoming both those things. I mean, obviously, an accent's an accent, but like in WWE's mind, I mean, I think he can overcome like those barriers. So I'm still putting all my chips on Black. So hey, they always say, right? Always bet on Black, or in Lucha Underground's case, Mac. So that's what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
But yeah, McIntyre's a great choice.
Oh my God, Ella. His name rhymes with Tinderball. God damn.
Next.
Abel's fourth and final question. Who is the best wrestler of the 2010s decade so far? I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say Tanahashi.
You know what? I'll agree with you. I mean, for as much as I love raking Tanahashi over the coals as Johnny Scumbag, as a wrestling fan, first and foremost, Tanahashi is just insane. And like, yeah, his matches are genuinely entertaining. I would honestly say on a more consistent basis than what Cena's have been the last day. Because I feel like Cena's only now kind of getting in a groove where I really enjoy his matches. Whereas with Tanahashi, I bet if I went back and I watched his older stuff, which I have, because he's had matches with Suzuki in the past, and I've done that to get hyped for their IC title match. Like, yeah, he's still like insane. So yeah, I'll agree with you on Tanahashi. I think that's an excellent choice.
Yeah. If we're just talking WWE, Cena.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would agree with that. I mean, I haven't always been crazy about the matches, but I mean, dude, the guy's fucking showed up, and when he's gotten injured, it's like he's not even gone for that long. Like, he was committed to that shit for the decade. So I think he definitely earns that spot. Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have 4 questions from Iconic Player 1. First up is just for you, John. And this is not a Johnny Scumbag or a Johnny whatever. Would you, if you had to choose, what would you rather give up, wrestling or philosophy?
Yeah, I saw this question, and I'm like, curses, Iconic Player 1.
I know. That's like an evil question. That's
It is, man. It is.
shit.
Yeah, like, goddamn. Because, like,
Why can't I just have my 2 passions? Why are you trying to make me only have one, man?
I know, right? Like,
These
that's what really hurts. Because, like, a lot of the stuff that I draw, like when I get pumped up to do philosophy, does come from like wrestling. But like you already know, Ash, and we've had conversations about this. Like I look at what we're doing here. I look at wrestling as just like a purely fun thing because I get to be with like my best friend, and you guys are fucking amazing. Like just to get a little personal, not into details, I had kind of a rough day today, and it felt really good to come here and do this with all you guys. You know, both for NXT and then this, but philosophy is really what like I want to build my life around, like as far as like serious work and helping people and doing that stuff. So when you look at fun versus impact, for me, impact's always more important. So I think I would have to say sacrifice wrestling, but I mean, fuck, thank God I don't have to, because like I feel like this really keeps me anchored, and it really is just something like you know that I do love so much. But when I think about what is going to help me have an impact on people, the kind of impact that I want to have, and something that I do love just so fucking much that I throw myself into it. Like I'm taking on the world this year with everything I'm trying to do. You know, philosophy does win out. So I think I would have to give up wrestling, but I mean, fuck you. Iconic for putting the gun in my mouth. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I think that's where I'm at because it really just comes down to what do I want my life to be? And I want my life to be just something impactful in a good way for other people. And I'm slowly trying. And I think philosophy is like the better vehicle to do that. So that's how I came at that determination. But man, that was a fucking hardball question, Iconic. I'll tell you what. So
Yeah.
what's our next question?
Our next question is, if Lucha Underground has a cinematic universe, which wrestlers, heroes and villains, are part of phases 1, 2, and 3?
I'm sorry, I was kind of reading chat reactions. Can you just repeat that question one more time?
If Lucha Underground has a cinematic universe, which wrestlers, heroes and villains, are part of phases 1, 2, and 3?
Johnny Mundo has to be a villain for all three phases because he was part of it from the very beginning. For all, yeah.
Johnny Mundo would be like the low-key character of the Luchaverse.
Yeah.
He is low-key is a guy that's been either in the background or in the forefront, depending on what movie we're talking about, for all three phases.
Yeah. God damn. I feel like either Matanza or Mill would fill that Thanos role.
Dude, I would definitely say Matanza would be Mill for sure. Or would be
Thanos, yeah. Puma would be like a Captain America or an Iron Man because he dies in the end, or at least I expect one to.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah, I can't really think of many other people though. I guess God, Sexy Star isn't cool enough to be Black Widow. Maybe Evilise could fill that role, but she never really.
Oh yeah, Evilise is definitely Black Widow.
I'll just go with that, putting her health aside. So Evilise is Black Widow. Sexy can die too. I don't
know. Sexy Star is like the Agent Carter.
There you go. And you know what? I think that's all I really want to. Ray could be Captain America because he dies too. So Puma could be Iron Man.
Puma's Iron Man, yeah, because he's the one with the ego, and then Ray is Captain America. He's like the goody two shoes. Yes, and the big culmination of Phase 2 was Civil War, which is the two of them battling it out. That's perfect.
Yeah, so you know what? I think that's going to be good for me. And since you kind of helped me with that, I mean, if you want to count that as your answer too, unless you have a few other people you want to throw into the fray.
I mean, we did kind of piece that together. So.
Right. All right. Let's move on.
All right. So then, third question from, or actually, yeah, third question from Iconic Player 1. I don't know why this wasn't just for you. When are people going to understand? I don't watch fucking anime, God damn it.
Listen to this, people.
Third question, favorite devil fruit from One Piece. I don't have an answer because I don't know what the hell devil fruit is. I don't watch One Piece.
I'll be honest, it's been so long since I watched the anime and I still have plans to get back to it. Why didn't I bookmark the episode I lost out on? Because it's probably like over 1,000 now at this point.
Because you're a Mark, John, that's why.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? You're right, God damn it. Jesus. So I'm just gonna be that guy. The gum fruit, that made Luffy a fucking rubber man, even though there are so many creative fruits out there that I just of course I choose that answer because I'm me. Just shame me, Iconic dick. So what's his final question?
Who's the Winter Soldier? Would be Pentagon. So there you go. Fourth and final question from Iconic. Fantasy book a tag tournament featuring two of the best teams from each of the following promotions. Lucha Underground, and actually it's really each of the following brands. Lucha Underground, New Japan, NXT, SmackDown, and Raw. And I guess he did say WWE main roster, so if you want to include SmackDown and Raw as one entity, maybe pick a tag team from each, or maybe just pick two of the best tag teams from WWE's main roster. That's your call. So it's Lucha, New Japan, NXT, and WWE's main rosters. Pick two of the best tag teams from each of those promotions, and we're making a tag tournament. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first, because I mean it's going to be kind of difficult for me, given that LU doesn't even have tag trios.
No, so I'm gonna change it up a little bit. My Lucha Underground tag teams are going to be Angelico and Jack Evans, because we already know they're an established tag team, and Killshot and Dante Fox.
I love that. Yeah, I'm actually gonna I'll piggyback off those two answers. I really like those for Lucha Underground. But then what about the rest?
All right, so my New Japan tag teams, since we are going by actual like established tag teams here, my my New Japan ones are going to be Killer Elite Squad and the LIJ team of Sonata and Evil.
Love it. Okay.
NXT, I'm going to go with War Machine because they're there now.
Right.
And M61.
Okay.
And then for WWE main rosters, I'm going with the Revival and the Usos.
Okay. I'm gonna.
And my finals before you go.
Oh,
my
right.
finals. My finals would be Dante and Killshot versus War Machine, and I think I would have to have Dante and Killshot go over because that's just my favorite team out of the group. So I'll let you go next.
All right, great job, dude. I'm gonna kind of work backwards. Main roster, I'm gonna say the Revival and the New Day, represented by Biggie and Xavier Woods. NXT, I agree with you about War Machine. I was kind of eyeing them, so I'm glad you mentioned them. But I will also go the current tag champs, Fish and O'Reilly, Undisputed Era.
Red Dragon.
Yeah, Red Dragon, baby. New Japan Pro Wrestling. Oh, man. I'm going to do Roppongi 3K. But then I'm also going to do as the tag for the tag team side. Who am I going to do here for the tag team side? On the heavyweight
for
side.
The tag team side?
Well, I mean, I was thinking more the heavyweight side because Roppongi 3K is like a junior tag team.
Oh, yeah.
I misspoke. But yeah, for the heavyweight tag teams, you know what? I'm gonna say as part of Chaos, Ishii and Okada.
Ooh, interesting.
And then who?
God, I miss Hanma.
I do too, dude.
I miss Hanma almost as much as I miss Shibata, and I miss the shit out of Shibata.
Dude, I learned a little while ago that Shibata and Kenta used to be a team, and it was a tag team I never knew I wanted until I saw a gif of them working together.
Yeah.
Lucha Underground, you already said like PJ Black and not PJ, Angelico and Jack Evans. And Killshot and Dante. I know I said I would lift those two from you, but I do kind of want to be original as well. So, damn it, Puma, why'd you have to fucking leave? Because I'd love to put him on there. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do Johnny Mundo and Mil Muertes.
Oh my God, they would kill each other.
I know. And then I'm going to do Pentagon Dark and Cage.
Ooh.
And then my final, because I really would want to celebrate tag teams and not makeshift teams, would be the Revival.
Yes.
And you know what? God damn. You know what? Yeah, I'll commit the Revival and Red Dragon, and just give them.
Ooh, very interesting. So you got some really interesting teams in there, but at the end of the day, it still comes down to WWE versus NXT.
Yeah. There you go. All right, next question.
Up next, we have our first question of 4 from Salvador R. Salcido. Sal, as you know him. First question, though, is for Johnny Goodfellow, so get ready for this. He knows you way too well. Would you like a snickerdoodle cookie that I haven't poisoned or made lethal in any way whatsoever?
I mean, that does sound really tempting, if not kind of ominous, but I'm just going to have to go with the advice that I normally follow. When you take something from a stranger, you put yourself in danger. So I'm going to have to say no to your snickerdoodle cookie, but it was so nice of you to ask.
You're
me. Please fucking kill me. Live. Oh, God. Oh, God, what's my intestine doing in my hand? Stuff's supposed to be in my hand. Fuck. Are you gonna be okay?
Danger line was too fucking good. Oh my God, I'm dying over here. Oh. Okay.
Cliff of all did the gun emoji. I didn't know you were a Bullet Club member.
Oh, shit. Second question from Sal is for both of us. With Rick and Morty season 4 possibly not coming out until 2019, what are your expectations for it? Well, first of all, I think I might have to kill myself first because I didn't know it was going to take that goddamn long.
Why not freeze yourself? Why do you have to die?
First of all, that isn't actually a technology that exists that I know of. But second of all, Yeah, I mean, well, before I even get to second of all, I thought that it was going to come out around Christmas 2018. I didn't think it was going to be that goddamn long. But yes, second of all, what do I expect of it? I hope we just get more of what we've always gotten and maybe more of what they did in season 2, because I think season 2 is the best season ever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, like Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon, you could tell the show is such a labor of love because last season took longer to produce, and it really shows. And I mean that in the best possible way. Evil Morty follow up is a must. Like, I love that
Right.
storyline. Um,
Tales from the Citadel.
I gotta say, I still love the show, right? I'm not trying to like, go hard on the show. I would like if consequences started to matter a bit more because I can understand the criticism that some people make that like, where's the gravity in a show where you can retcon everything? Like even like Morty's Mind Blowers, where it seemed like, oh my god, these guys have erased like all these memories, and there was a backup plan specifically for that instance, which is hilarious and it's great comedy. But if you're gonna do more serious storylines like Evil Morty and stuff like that, I need to know that there's still gravity in this universe in terms of like your actions and their reverberations. So I would
Maybe
hope
that'll
that,
be a heavy thing in season 4 because
yeah,
maybe the Citadel will like turn off everyone's portals or something shitty.
maybe, yeah, like there's got to be some consequences. So, like again, Evil Morty's a must with
I wouldn't
that
be
caveat.
surprised at all if there was a season that basically said, like, yeah, we get it. Up until this point, everything has been inconsequential because of this one out that everyone had, but now we're taking that out away, and they're going to just have to live their lives without having that ability anymore for maybe like an entire season, or maybe just a few episodes, or maybe just one episode we'll see. And then it'll kind of, the rubber band universe will snap back to being the way it should be.
Yeah, yeah. Um, oh, two other storylines that I want to touch on, and then I guess you answer so we can move on to our next question. Tammy and Phoenix Person. One thing that bummed me out
Yeah,
this
that's
past
right.
season was
Phoenix Person. I forgot about Phoenix
they
Person.
got one scene and that was it. I really was thinking that they were going to be a bigger part of it because she seemed like she was on the hunt. So that's something. And then here's something that I doubt will come back, but I would really like it to be touched on. I want us to check in on Unity and her goal of uniting the Galactic Federation. Well, like uniting like everything that she's part of and being a member of the Galactic Federation, especially now that Rick's taken it down. Like, how is Unity going to respond to this given that this clashes violently with her goals? And we know her and Rick's relationship, and she says that Rick is the only one that does her job better than she does because he does it on her every time that they're together. Like he's toxic to her. So I actually would really like to check in on Unity, maybe update that relationship. Maybe that results in some growth for Rick or some even more regression for Unity. But I think that's a dynamic that I would love to play with a lot more. And if we can possibly kind of get in, even kind of like forcing in some Pickle Rick, I will never be opposed because Pickle Rick
Pickle Rick!
Pickle Rick. That just gives me fucking life. So yeah, those are the things, the expectations that I have.
I'm pretty sure you don't mean literally more Pickle Rick. I think just that type of episode where it's just like a
Yeah, well, I did
like
kind of mean
nothing
literally Pickle
matters.
Rick, but I like your answer better. I just love like Tiny Rick, Pickle Rick. What's the next kind of Rick?
I'm
Like
Tiny Rick!
how could you, Summer? I'm Tiny Rick.
Please help me. I'm dying in this garage.
Your Rick impression really has gotten on point. You've put so much time into that. But yeah, those are my expectations. I guess we can move on.
All right, guys. Third question from Sal. What other WWE superstars could make waves in New Japan like Jericho did? Sure as
Cena, obviously, to
Cody's
me.
bitch ass.
Yeah. Cena,
Did you even hear
obviously,
what I
to me.
said, John?
What did you say? All I heard was bitch ass.
I said sure as hell not Cody's bitch ass.
Oh God, the salt.
I really hate him, man. I really do.
So I'm gonna say Cena because even though he's like older and he just knows that WWE style, like all you'd have to do is book him versus Tanahashi, and I think you have like a match of the decade kind of thing, at least from a promotional standpoint. Um, who else? I mean, Nakamura's technically a WWE guy, so you could just ship it back there. KO, I feel like could do good there. Sami Zayn, I think could do really well in New Japan because I don't know if he ever really spent any time there. Um, if New Japan focused more on women, I'd love to send like Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch over there and say they could make waves, but they don't really focus on women because that's not Shine or Shimmer, Stardom. So yeah, that's a separate thing. I wonder how Braun would do in New Japan because he's so massive. Like Braun versus Ishii and Braun versus Cobb now, I think would be fucking great. So yeah, I'm just gonna limit myself to that. I'm gonna say Cena, Strowman. I know I joked about Nakamura. Who else did I say? Oh yeah, Sami Zayn. Cena, Strowman, Sami Zayn. Those will be the three guys that I pick. What about you, Ashton? Who do you think can make waves?
I'd say AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura for sure. Like, there's no doubt he would make waves. Finn Balor, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, War Machine, Ricochet. Who am I missing? I'd say that's about it.
All right, next question.
Come on, man. How do you not catch on? I literally just named people that have already been in.
Oh, dude, I knew it. Okay, I was just like, well, that's really the route he wants to go. I'm not gonna contest it. I'm me. I would take the easiest route. I was actually proud of you for once. I'm like, wow, that's really using your noggin, and then you called me out on this shit. Eat a sock. Oh God, Johnny Goodfellow's really getting to me that I can't even do insults anymore.
That's the good fellow corrupting you.
You shut your hole right now.
I'm sorry. Am I wrong?
Oh, why did you have to say it wrong like that where I want to giggle? God damn it. No, you're not. Fuck you twice.
No, but seriously though, honestly, seriously, Cesaro is a big name that I think would make. Sheamus would make big waves. Samoa Joe, I know he's had a Japan run before, but I don't know if he's ever really been prominently featured in New Japan. Cesaro, Sheamus, Joe, Braun, you already said he's a great answer. He would definitely be a big ass deal over there. I know he's on the older side, but I do think Big Show, just because like if they can make Fale entertaining, there's no way that Big Show wouldn't be.
Right.
Who else? I mean, yeah, all the guys that were in New Japan going back would probably be for the best, except for AJ, because AJ is actually like a god in WWE right now, and him going back to New Japan would probably derail a lot of his momentum. Because honestly, I don't know if he would ever get as over in New Japan as he is in WWE right now, which is kind of a weird thing to say.
Right.
But yeah, so that's my list. Let's move on. Fourth and final question from Sal. FMK, Charlotte, Natalia, Mandy Rose.
I'm gonna make this real quick. Fuck Mandy Rose, marry Charlotte, kill Natalia slowly.
Yep, that's the only actual answer. That like, I'm hoping that marrying Charlotte means that I get the financial benefits of being married to the top WWE female superstar in the company, and she's on the road a lot. So actually put up with her shit. But like I can't say Natalia because she's an undercarder for life. She probably doesn't make as much money as Charlotte, so that's not a viable answer. I sure as hell can't say fuck Natalia because I wouldn't be able to get it up. And honestly, even if I could get it up, her voice moaning would just ruin everything. And I can't, yeah. And so yeah, like that's really is the only actual answer is to fuck Mandy because she's the only physically attractive one of the three. Marry Charlotte for the money and hope she's not around anytime soon, and kill Natalia because then you're doing everyone a service, including us.
You and I, we get it, man. We get it. All right, next question.
All right, next question. First, we have 3 questions from a new user named Heel Zane. First up, if you're booking the 2 Royal Rumble matches, who would you choose the final 4 and win it all?
For the men, my final 4 is Strowman, Balor, Rollins, Reigns, and I have Strowman winning it, last eliminating Reigns for the huge fucking pop.
Yes,
and plus continuing their rivalry. For the women, well, it's me booking it, right? So I'll tell you.
Yeah, it's you. It's you. That's the thing. This is not a preview prediction. This is a fantasy booking experiment.
Right. So if it's a fantasy booking, then I'm going to alter some outside conditions. Asuka is the women's champion, so Alexa would be in the Rumble. So we have Sasha, Bailey, Becky, and honestly, you know what? If I'm also taking liberties, Carmella would have cashed in on Charlotte. So Charlotte's the 4, so we get the 4 horsewomen as the final 4. and Becky wins. So then she gets to feud with Carmella on the road to Mania because fuck Charlotte. And I think Becky really deserves the nod, and it seems perfect for her. So Braun wins the men's for me, and Becky wins the women's. What about you, Ashton?
Okay. So for the men's, this is actually really difficult for me because I have not put any thought into this whatsoever. For the men's, my final four would be a debuting. Actually, no, this is fantasy booking. My final four would be a returning Drew McIntyre,
Okay.
Roman Reigns, Baron Corbin, and I'm trying to think of who my fourth would be, who the best option would be for number four, and Daniel Bryan.
Oh, dude.
And the reason I have Daniel Bryan in the final four is because I was trying to figure out who the best possible babyface to get a bunch of heat on one of the heels would be, and that would be Bryan. So I would have Baron Corbin eliminate Daniel Bryan, and then
Okay.
have Drew eliminate Corbin for just that receipt. I mean, good God. And then it comes down to Drew and Roman, and I have Drew win and go on to challenge Brock Lesnar and win the Universal title at Mania.
Awesome. So then what about the women?
For the women, my final four would be, let's see, because I'm not going to change any current champions like you did. I'm okay with keeping the champion landscape as it is. I'm going to have my final four be Becky Lynch. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna rather than say my full final four, I'm gonna say um, Becky Lynch, Asuka, and Nia Jax are in the ring. And Asuka and Becky try to double team Nia, but she overpowers them. She finally manages to eliminate Becky. Boo, you suck, horrible. Asuka eliminates her. But then there's a countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7. Stephanie McMahon's entrance music hits for 30. And Asuka is just standing in the ring waiting for her to come down. And next thing you know, from behind, Ronda Rousey attacks Asuka and tries to throw her over the top rope. But Asuka, being the adept professional wrestler and not MMA fighter that she is, maintains a headlock on Ronda Rousey and pulls her out over the top rope. And then Stephanie, who was the actual entrant, gets in the ring and tries to run into Asuka to throw her off the apron. But Asuka pulls down the top rope and over Stephanie goes, and Asuka wins the entire thing. But then she says, I don't want to stay on Raw because Stephanie just tried to screw me. I'm challenging Charlotte at WrestleMania for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
You just took two elements that I hated in like Stephanie and Rousey and made me perfectly okay with both happening.
Yeah.
That's some great booking, dude. All
So
right.
that's my final four in that case would be Becky, Nia, Asuka, Steph. And Ronda wouldn't actually be a participant in the Rumble, so you are still technically protecting her by not having her lose her first match, because that's not really her first match yet. And yeah, Asuka wins the whole goddamn thing.
All right. Next question.
Question from Heel Zane. What do you think about the backlash after Sasha Banks saying that she's the best in the world? I didn't even know that she said that. And if she would have said that, I'm not surprised she got backlash, but I also didn't know that there was backlash. So
I heard about the backlash, and let me just say very quickly, I thought it was ridiculous. I mean, come on, guys. Like, she's the boss. I think she said it in kayfabe, and you know what? If she's being serious, at least she's confident. Like, we won a women's revolution. I would like competitors that are confident in their craft and can back it up, and I would classify Sasha as such. For people to be that touchy, like seriously, there are a lot of other things to take umbrage with about the wrestling business than just one performer saying that she's like, you know, the best ever. And like, I'm proud of Sasha for being confident because there was a time when I don't even think women would have the right to that confidence because of how they were booked. And even though it's not perfect by any means, it's better than what it was. And Sasha's taking pride in her work. And why shouldn't we want that for people? I saw the reaction to it, and I'm like, yeah, you're all just being ridiculous to me. So that's really how I felt about it.
You know, it's funny because there was a point in time in NXT where I think she could have said, I'm the best in the world. And I wouldn't have even been like, oh, you're crazy. There's no way. I would have just been like, she's kind of in that conversation. So I don't think it's egregious. I think that confidence is a necessity in this business. And if she didn't have confidence, I would be even more worried. So that's kind of the only response I have. Third and final question from Hill Zane, who I just found out in chat isn't a new user. It's formerly Zane Banks. I know we've had Zane Banks in here before. But Zane Banks just changed his name. What do you think about the series Queen of the South? And if you don't watch it, I would advise you do because it's awesome.
I've seen promos for it. It seems like a cool show, but I haven't
Isn't
watched
that the show that's like about like a drug lord that smuggles drugs from Mexico into like California and she works for like this bitch kingpin?
Yeah, I forget if she was like undercover with some kind of agency, but maybe she gets in too deep. But
I
yeah,
don't
like
know.
you pretty much got the premise more or less. And yeah, it actually does look well done considering it's like USA, and hell, USA has done other shows I like Suits, which I really have fallen so far behind on. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I might check out Queen of the South because I've heard good things, and it seems like it looks genuinely good from the promos. So yeah, I haven't watched it, but it's on my radar.
Yeah. It's not really on my radar. I don't really have any intention of watching it, but the promos were cool at least. So I'll give it that credit. We got one and only one question this month from Bullet Club versus The Shield, and she asked if the cruiserweight division should be scrapped because she thinks it's cursed because of everything going on between Aries' release and Neville leaving and Enzo's thing and Swan's thing and all that shit. And short answer, we kind of did already answer this earlier on in the show. I don't believe in superstition. I don't believe in curses. I don't think that that's actually a thing. I think it's just a series of unfortunate coincidences. And no, I don't think the cruiserweight division should get scrapped. So if you have anything else to add, John, go ahead.
No, we can move right on because I know Asia's been here. I pretty much think the whole time, so she already heard us discuss the cruiserweight division. I would just copy paste, so we can move.
All right. So we have got two questions from Dominique Adams. First of all, what would be worse for you? I really want you to answer this one first, John. What would be worse for you? Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble again or Kushida winning Best of Super Juniors for the third time?
Kushida. Like, I can at least understand Roman, and I can enjoy his matches. I really just hate his promo work and the idea that he's getting so pushed. Kushida is just fucking, like, toxic to me, and the juniors division is actually in a really good place. I don't want that.
This motherfucker got powder in his eyes and within seconds delivered a beautiful God's Last Gift cradle pile driver. Son of a bitch.
Fuck him, dude. So I would say Kushida. What about you?
I'm gonna say wait a minute, hang on a second. What would be worse for you? Yeah, I would agree then, Kushida. Because to me, I mean, Roman winning the Rumble this year wouldn't even be like a disappointment because we already know he's main eventing WrestleMania and challenging Brock. So it's just a matter of how he gets there. If it just happens to be the Rumble, then what the hell ever. I don't give a shit. We knew it was going to happen anyway. And then there'll just be more mystery surrounding the WWE title on SmackDown and who's going to challenge for that and shit. Whereas with Kushida, I actually have a glimmer of hope now with the juniors because I know that like our next junior heavyweight championship match is Ospreay versus Hiromu, and that's amazing. And it seems like junior heavyweight title matches that involve anybody not named Kushida are incredible matchups, and I look forward to them. But as soon as Kushida's fat face enters the name of the picture of the junior division, I stop being able to speak in coherent sentences, and the quality of the matches drops significantly. So, no, I definitely would say that Kushida winning BOSJ for the third time would be worse for me than Roman winning another Rumble, just because I expect Roman to win the Rumble, and it wouldn't surprise me.
All right. Next question.
Aside from Jericho, what are other talents from WWE that you'd be interested in seeing crossover in New Japan? I feel like we got some repeat questions tonight.
Yeah, because we already answered this too. So yeah, I mean, just copy paste my prior answer to that because I feel like Dominique Adams was here from the beginning. Well, like very early on to hear us talking about crossovers. So yeah, just copy paste for me.
All right, so then we've got 4 questions from Alex Foster. First up, just for you, John. Tell us more about your upcoming philosophy stuff. You say you don't want to bore us, but I really want to know.
You know, this question genuinely touched me. First of all, I want to say thank you to Foster for that because I never do want to bore you guys. Which, speaking of, where the fuck was Rotten Butter this month? But yeah,
Wait a minute. I thought I copied and pasted Rotten Butter's questions. He did have questions. What the hell?
yeah, I didn't see any
Did I
here.
skip him? What the hell, man? I know he did have questions. I don't know why I didn't jot them down. I don't.
Well, while you take care of that, I'm just gonna say, like, I also kind of answered this in a way because James talked about personal preview and predictions, so it was pretty much the same since I've been like the concentration of philosophy this year is nuts. Again, I've got my conference coming up in 2 weeks. I'm doing an open access book on childhood poverty. Yeah, I see hypothesis falling asleep. See, that's why I said I don't want to bore you guys with this shit. But yeah, I've got a an open access book on childhood poverty. I'm actually discussing a really fascinating topic, and it's about the child's own responsibility for their poverty. I took on the most challenging thing, and they actually liked my answer. I don't know which is more of a miracle here.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. No, Rotten Butter did not ask questions this month.
So again, I ask the fuck, but to get back to Foster's question.
Shit! God damn it! Yes, he did. I missed.
Oh, should we? Oh, God damn it! All right. But anyway, I guess just continuing the train of thought. I'm going to Michigan in May with a friend of mine, and we're working on a fiction story that's for another journal. I just submitted a paper last night. That's for a new journal called Borderless Philosophy. I'm really excited about their project. It seems so cool. It's the kind of stuff I've wanted to see happen in the culture because the culture, admittedly, is pretty cancer. That's my biggest critique of philosophy is academic culture is just terrible. Hoping to do 2 other conferences this year, 3 popular culture books. Again, Rick and Morty, Twilight Zone, and Westworld. What else do I have on tap? Oh, disability and sci-fi with the anime Psychopaths. So yeah, like I'm doing all the fucking things, Alex, and I really appreciate you having interest, man. That means a lot. But yeah, I'm just looking to take on the world this year, and I'm hoping I can win. So that's all there's to it.
Okay, now let's. I apologize for the clunkiness here, guys, but I guess I never recorded Rotten Butter's questions. I don't know how I missed them, but he did ask questions, and he asked them relatively early on too. So we must have. I obviously just didn't record them, unfortunately. First one is the standard Rotten Butter first question. Cool shit. Do it.
Yeah. Food Wars season 3. That's been amazing. I've been doing that with the family. This bank robber show on Netflix that's in Spanish, and I can't remember the name of it every time, but it's actually really well done. And it's interesting to see the heist kind of plot not be a film and actually be like a seasonal long thing. So that's something we've been watching. Still doing Sons of Anarchy on occasion, doing a lot of The Americans, which is a really great show. And I know their last season's coming this year. Games, you and I are still playing the shit out of Rocket League. I've gotten back into 2K. That's been a lot of fun. Obviously, the philosophy stuff that I didn't bore you guys with this month because I've talked about it at length twice. And yeah, that's essentially going to be that for me. So, what about you, Ashton?
Okay, so I'll start with television shows. I basically binged through most of, but not all of the Jim Jeffries series legit. And goddamn, is it amazing and hilarious. And I just love that show. And I can't wait to finish it, but I'm not going to until John and I have caught up to where I already am because I want him to take this ride along with me. And we've already watched the first episode and he loved it. So I know we're going to be able to get through it. John and I have spent a lot of time just watching our favorite live streamers on Twitch play Minecraft, modded Minecraft, which I've also recently gotten a lot more into. Recently found this mod pack called Age of Engineering that's just awesome. Like it's basically hard mode. Like it's Minecraft hard mode, basically. Like if you ever play Minecraft, you know that you have to find iron ore and then you put it in a furnace and smelt it and you get an iron ingot. Well, in modded Minecraft, a lot of the time when you find an ore, there are a lot of ways that you can double that so that you get 2 ingots out of it. And then like in Age of Engineering, it's just like, no, fuck you. You're not going to get either one of those things. It says you can't put any ores in a furnace to smelt them into ingots. That shit doesn't work. You need to make a Tinker's Construct smelter in order to smelt ores. And by the way, you're only getting 1 ingot per ore. Like it just ups the difficulties considerably. And I absolutely love it because it's like one of those mod packs where just, like just making charcoal is this huge accomplishment. And it's just great. I love it. And as far as other games go, John and I, like you said, we've been playing a shit ton of Rocket League pretty much every night at this point. Um, I did start playing Robopon 2 on GBA again on my VBA emulator on my computer. I played a little bit of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on my GameCube emulator on my computer. It's got the singular best video game song in the history of video game existence in literally the first level of the game, which I just play over and over again because why the hell would you do anything else when you have that soundtrack backing it? Music, I've been listening to a hell of a lot more music lately, and namely, hello, Camila Cabello's album is incredible. The worst part about it is that it's short. Like, it was only 11 songs, and the 11th track was a radio version of the first track. So I just deleted that because I don't need to hear that song twice in a row when one of the versions is censored. I don't need that shit in my life. So yeah, like 10 tracks. It's a great album. If you haven't listened to it, you probably should. I know Justin Timberlake's coming out with some new music this year. He just came out with a few new songs over the course of the last few weeks. There's a new Chainsmokers song that everyone is absolutely loving. It's got like 17 or 18 million views, and it's only been out for like 8 days. I know that there's a new Dua Lipa song that's out now that's really good. There's some new, there's that new freaking Bruno Mars shit, Finesse. I'm not a big fan of the Cardi B version, but I do like the original that Bruno Mars did. So yeah, I didn't know. Hypothesis just said in chat, apparently City Escape, the first level in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, has that song that I was talking about, Escape from the City, and apparently there was a petition for that to become the national anthem. That's amazing. It probably should be the national anthem. I might actually stand up for that national anthem if it was. But yeah, that's about all I can think of. Movie-wise, we've watched Bright, which was way better than critics said, and Kong Skull Island, which was a great action adventure movie. Have we watched any other movies this month, John?
I don't think we have, brother.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it feels like we're still in like the teens of the month, but goddamn, it's the 25th.
I know, right? Jesus.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So yeah, that's about the extent of my month in consumption. Mainly, it's just been, I mean, as far as what I've been consuming, it's just been data, just eating up all that data, just making all the spreadsheets because the draft is coming up in like 3 months, and I feel like it's so far away, and yet I just feel like there's not enough time that I can use to actually put this shit together. So it's a conundrum of too far yet too close at the same time. So yeah, I guess that's about the extent of it. Second question from Rotten Butter. Apologies to Rotten Butter for skipping his shit the first time. This is kind of a longer question, so I didn't really know how to chop it down. Who is the most evil villain in fiction that you know of, and are they more evil than Dio Brando from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? For context, and without going into spoilers, in the first episode, he, in this order, spits on his father's grave, knees a dog in the face, jams his thumb into his adoptive brother's eye during a boxing match, forcefully steals a girl's first kiss, and locks a dog in an incinerator. And this is at age 11, and he only gets worse from there.
I would say, because I actually am familiar with that. It's been a long time since I've watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but I did watch that arc. And yeah, Dio is very evil. The only person more evil, I do agree with that assessment, would have to be anybody on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, particularly Red Skull and, Brett Dalton from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because, they worked for literal fucking Nazis. So yeah, I'll say the only person more evil than that, I'll say Red Skull is more evil than Dio, but they're definitely my top two, I think. What about you, Ashton?
I don't know, man. The thing is, like, Dio does all this horrible, terrible shit that ruins individual lives, but like, you could make an argument that fucking Trump is more evil than that because of the millions of lives that he tries to ruin on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, all presidents, really, to a degree. Like, even fucking Obama probably ruined more lives than Dio Brando did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, I know a lot of people say, like, Obama was this great president, And I agree that like if I were to rank the presidents from best to worst, he would be in like the top 15 to 20 of the best presidents ever. But at the end of the day, there's been like two decent human beings as president in the history of the US. So just being in the top 15 or 20 doesn't really mean too goddamn much, does it?
And then even the, like, and look, I'm not trying to like start anything because I really do want to like get to these questions because I know like Rotten Butter we kind of glossed over the first time, but even decent, like the bar's just laying in the dirt for you to just.
Well, yeah, and one of them got assassinated before he got a chance to be shitty.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So like the bar is like eating the dirt. But yeah, man, I get what you're saying. That was good for me on my answer to the question. If there's anything you want to add, we can move on.
Third question from Rotten Butter. You are given $1 million to give to one charity of your choosing. Which do you choose? And then he also does say if you don't have a specific charity in mind, then just state a cause you'd put the money towards and be as specific as possible.
If I had to pick a charity that I would have to really investigate, because I'm very wary of like big charities, I would say maybe Doctors Without Borders, and then a cause more generally. I would give it to Flint, Michigan, so that they could have clean water, because I still think they don't have clean water, and it's been like,
dude, if $1 million could solve that problem, I'm pretty sure they would have solved it by now. That's change to the people making decisions.
I mean, that's true, but look, they asked what I'd give it to, and I guess every little bit helps, I guess. So that's kind of where my heart's at with that.
Yeah.
I think there's also another charity, I think called like No One Is Illegal or something, that deals with immigration and keeping people from being like forcibly deported. I absolutely would support that as well, for sure. But what about you? What are some causes that you would give $1 million to?
I would start my own charity.
Okay. So you know where the money goes. That's smart.
And I would call it Free Money to the Homeless.
Well, dude, hey, man, like, fuck yeah.
I would literally just pick 1,000 homeless people at random and give them each $1,000.
Honestly, dude, I respect you for actually having good attention, because I swear, like, just with your hesitation and everything, I thought it was gonna be like a, don't be a Mark Foundation. And I smarten them up. Oh man.
No, yeah, that's pretty much what it would be. Is I would just pick 1,000 homeless people at random and give each of those 1,000 people $1,000.
No, now that I'm thinking about the Don't Be a Mark Foundation, though, I really do love that cause, though. It seems like a genius idea. But now that I'm thinking about the Don't Be a Mark Foundation, you could do like a Ted DiBiase Sr., and you could have people compete for money. Now tell me, what was the best match of WrestleMania 3? Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage? Mark! It was Hulk Hogan under the Giant. Try again. Just smartening him up.
Oh my god. No. But seriously though, like I wouldn't want to make them compete for it, because I wouldn't want any of them to feel like, I'm homeless and I can't outcompete other homeless people to become less homeless. Like,
right.
It would just have to be completely random, because really, like, that's the only way to do it fairly, in my opinion.
And I mean, plus, you're already a Mark, so it can't possibly get any worse, So, no, but no, in all seriousness, I really do like that answer, man. Because I mean, hell, you're doing more just with that thought to help homelessness than I've seen any like bureaucracy do. So, kudos to you there. What's our next question?
Our next question is fourth and final question from Rotten Butter. Oh shit. Can you see why? Oh god damn it, Rotten Butter. Can you see why kids love the taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
No, because I don't like looking at kids at all. In fact, you know what? No, I'm just gonna leave it at that. No, I can't see why they see it. I mean, I like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but I'm me, and my opinion's the only one that matters. And this guy as well, of course. So, what about you? Do you like Cinnamon Toast Crunch? Can you see why kids like the taste?
Well, I can, because I loved Cinnamon Toast Crunch as a kid, but I don't like it anymore. So it's only kids that see the deliciousness in Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
But clearly I proved that as false when I said that I still like it.
Okay.
It's just like,
I'm really trying to logic my way out of this, but I can't. I'll just say you win.
Oh, fine. Yeah, actually, no, wait, not fine. I won. Holy shit, this never happens.
I can't believe it took that long to click.
No, I'm just so used to losing that it's kind of internalized at this point. Holy fucking shit. Da 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 da. God, man, if it were better circumstances, I would strip and streak right now, but I can't. God damn it. All right, next question.
All right, that was our final question from Rotten Butter, so we can kind of get back to where we were. Second question from Alex Foster, and it's just for me.
I love it.
What should the XFL's mascot be for whatever Atlanta team they have? I mean, you should do oh, that's perfect. The Atlanta Peaches, but the mascot is a fat ass woman.
Can I just say that you've been on point tonight? Next question.
I mean, that's perfect. The peach emoji is an ass.
Stop saying ass. It's too funny for me.
Ass.
We have other questions. I need to stay composed. What's our next question?
Third question from Alex Foster. What's your favorite DBZ game? I'll go first on this one. The Legacy of Goku trilogy.
God, what a noob. Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Oh man, I actually never played Legacy of Goku. That was just me being very judgmental. I apologize.
It's a GBA game.
Well, yeah, you really were a big fan of the Game Boy, man. I never got enough time with it as a kid. Yeah. Actually, you still are. Hell yeah, because you got the emulator, I should say, and stuff. I never really got enough time with it, and even on an emulator, it's like, eh.
It will simulate your face.
You know you don't mean it. You know we're gonna hang this up, and then you're gonna be like, you know what, John, I was wrong because your face is amazing just the way it is. You know. But yeah, Budokai Tenkaichi 3 for me. Honestly, like not to get into a dark story, like this is the only game because like there was one point in my childhood where like my father stole all of our video games from us. It was really kind of a low fucking point. And Budokai Tenkaichi 3, you figure most games, because we had a lot of older titles like Max Payne, GTA, they'd run for like about $20, whatever. Tenkaichi 3, I had to pay $30 to get that back because it was the most in-demand game I think that they had made up to that point. And it was worth it. Yeah, I absolutely wanted it back because it was just a shit ton of fun, and I love their training mode. So yeah, definitely that's my favorite game. Next.
All right, Samoa Joe versus Jiren versus Matanza versus New Vegeta versus Braun Strowman. We all know that this is going to cause the destruction of the universe, but the actual question is, how far away can we all get before they end up killing everyone on the planet?
Not far enough. Not far enough.
Well, I mean, I love Braun and Samoa Joe, but they're like, mortal. But see, like Matanza's a step above that because even in kayfabe, he is a god. So I can't even like put him in that category. Like Joe and Strowman are like Strowman might be a monster among men, but he's still immortal. Like Matanza's a god. Jiren and New Vegeta are probably fourth dimensional beings. So I'm going to just roll with Vegeta as far as who's actually going to win that, or not Vegeta, Jiren as far as who's actually going to win that 5-way. And it would be a literal fatal 5-way because nobody would survive except for Jiren in this case. Maybe Vegeta if he's lucky. Yeah, the universe is what really loses in this case.
All right, fair enough. Next question.
4 questions from Ben Jr., and these are our final 4 questions. Instant reaction to the XFL being brought back?
Meh. You?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a really strong reaction in any separate direction, but I'm definitely intrigued, if that helps.
All right, so I'm meh. You're intrigued. Next question.
Opinions on Oprah for President 2020. Kill me now.
Yeah, I'm going to keep this really brief because, like, I'm actually expecting company and, like, I don't want to go on, like, a big political tangent here. It's so hypocritical. Like, this is the woman that brought Dr. fucking Oz to prominence and has had, like, very questionable guests that she endorses.
And Jenny McCarthy and the whole
Jenny McCarthy
vaccine bullshit.
And, like, here's the thing. And I don't want to be that guy, especially when we're so close to the end. But, like, this is why I sometimes resign myself to the idea that conservatism and liberalism are two sides of the same coin, right? Because it was this class that said, oh, really rich celebrities and stuff like that can't be president, and Trump. And then everybody's like, oh, Oprah, yes, Queen 2020. And it's just like, fucking put the bullet in my goddamn mouth. Jesus Christ. And when is anybody gonna realize, and again, not to be that guy, but that good rhetoric doesn't translate into good policy? Like, they're good rhetoricians. That doesn't mean they're gonna make great politicians. And I
Is
guess
that seriously a word? That's amazing.
yeah, I may not be saying it right, but I know it's a word. Um, and yeah, like, because to me, the art of politicking, and then God, now I'm getting into Plato territory, and I'm never gonna fucking leave. It's distinct from the art of rhetoric. Rhetoric is part of the art of politicking, but it's not the whole.
Rhetoric is just how you get votes. It's not actually anything to do with your policy.
Exactly, exactly. You know, and like, just fuck it, man. Like,
That's why I was like so blown away by Bernie Sanders as a candidate, because he had stance consistency on the issues dating back to like the 60s. Like Hillary wasn't even behind gay marriage until like 2012. Bernie was fighting for gay rights in like the 60s and 70s. Like that, to me, that's the kind of shit that blew me away about him as a candidate.
yeah, and like, I'm not even going to get into my political views because that isn't what this question is about. So, working solely within the political system that we have, you put Oprah in front of me and I say, what? Like, honestly, and this is my cynicism talking, and I know it, and I'm going to be like, oh, John, you shouldn't have said that because it's purely a cynical view. But when people are genuinely excited about the prospect of her having a presidency, we deserve to be annihilated. I mean, come the fuck on. Like, if that is really the best you can do, because somebody gives one good fucking speech and you're suddenly just hashtagging and everything else. And I'm going to be honest, you know, like, there are other candidates that have come through. And I'm going to feel like a piece of shit for saying this, but I know like people get excited about them because of representation. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they're like me. That shows that I could have higher aspirations. But like, no, that's all to service the status quo, which is killing us. Oxfam came out with their wealth inequality study. It's gotten even worse. Global warming is getting worse. Like, there are genuine problems. I don't need a fucking celebrity like Oprah that would probably have Dr. Oz on her fucking medical team. Like, we need to do better here. Seriously, I'm going to stop myself because I know it's going to be a completely different thing. But no, absolutely 100% no. And any liberal that honestly and sincerely champions it, you're a hypocrite and you need to reassess your values. And that I won't apologize for because I hate Trump and you know that. And this isn't even a defense of Trump. But you always like to throw back no celebrities, no rich people. What the fuck is Oprah? Like, look at yourself. Really look at yourself and look at what you want out of a political society. You need to do better. Next.
Whew.
I'm so sorry. I'm
I mean,
so
to be
sorry.
fair, I never actually got to answer this question other than just saying "kill me." So,
Yeah, I apologize, dude. I apologize. Any more thoughts that you have on this?
really, my biggest problem is just that, oh, well, Donald Trump became president, so let's just keep electing celebrities. Like Oprah, no. The Rock, no. Like, fuck off with these celebrities. Can I get an actual lawmaker or somebody that has the ability to actually enact the change rather than just talking about it in the big seat that might actually be able to affect change? Like, to me, it's more important to just make sure that you vote in the midterm elections this year to make sure that the Senate and the House and what else is there, John? The Senate, the House, and the what else?
Senate, the House, the Supreme Court, I guess. You know,
Well, you
because
can't really vote on that, so maybe it is just the Senate and the House. But to make sure that the Senate and the House are not dominated by only right wing nut jobs, and maybe that'll help. And then once that happens, maybe a blue president would be nice, because in my experience, when the president and the House and the Senate is red, the economy goes to absolute shit for everyone but the already rich. And those people make out great. Those guys are, I mean, hell yeah, they're in great shape, but it doesn't help anyone else in the country. In my view, the economy shouldn't be weighed by the overall size. The economy should be not measured, not weighed. It shouldn't be measured by the overall size of the economy, because if the top, if one person is making $1 trillion a year and everyone else is making a combined 100 billion dollars a year, that's not a very good economy, because that doesn't really benefit anyone but that one guy. Whereas to me, an economy should be measured by the bottom quintile. I think the stronger the bottom quintile, the better an overall economy will become. And the strongest bottom quintile that I've ever seen was the US in the 60s and 70s. So pre-Reagan, basically. And of course, Reaganomics, supply side economics. I'm a demand side economics guy. Basically, if you have any desire to know what the hell I'm talking about, if you don't already, watch Saving Capitalism. It's a documentary featuring Robert Reich. It's great. But yeah, Oprah isn't going to solve anything. The Rock isn't going to solve anything. To me, we need to just get a really good progressive candidate in the office, and you're not going to get a progressive candidate out of the Republican Party. So just roll with fucking blue if you have to. And let's be realistic, it's going to be a Democrat or a Republican. As much as I love the idea of breaking up the two-party system until we get money out of politics, which is the number one goal and always should be the number one goal, it's never going to happen. It's always going to be Republican or Democrat. So just vote the fucking Democrat in there. Get somebody in there with a progressive attitude that might actually enact some positive change. I mean, ideally it would be Bernie, because he's the only person that I genuinely believe would attempt to get money out of politics, but he's also going to be almost 80, so I highly doubt he's even going to have a shot. So there's a lot of shit going down. But now I think we're done answering that question, and we can move on to the two lighter questions to close this thing out. It's the third question from Ben Jr. What's your favorite Royal Rumble match? His is Royal Rumble 2001.
2004. That's the year Benoit won. Got to go with my guy. You?
Honestly, I hate to say it because of who won, but as an overall match, I'd have to say 2011, just because it was the 40-man Rumble. And I think that was also the year that we got all those horrible outbursts by Matt Stryker on commentary, like, "I'll mark it out, bro." We get this every year, and you never know.
God, got John Morrison's crazy save, and that started the tradition of the crazy save. So yeah, it's a great choice, dude.
He was the first big one to do it with his handstand. Or no, that was Kofi doing the handstand. What did Jomo do?
That was like the Spider-Man thing where Regal did a shoulder block to him, but he was able to land on the barricade, two legs on there and hands over, and then he was able to walk on the barricade and jump.
And then the following year, I remember he had the feet on the bottom rope save too.
Yeah. So yeah, crazy stuff. So I guess 2011 for you, 2004 for me. What's Ben Jr.'s final question?
Final question from Ben Jr. What's a day in the life for both of you guys?
I wake up usually around 11:30, sometimes a little later. Feed the dog, feed myself. I'm actually pretty compulsive, and this is how you know a person has a routine. I check all of my media, email, Facebook, because with everything I do, I never know when I'm going to get updates. Now, and really, my day kind of changes based on what projects I have. So depending, I could spend a little time writing. Maybe I'll have time reading. Now that I'm doing more volunteer stuff, I may do a shift with that these days. But after all that stuff, the other static parts about my day really would be at a certain point hanging out with you for the night, because I know sometimes we'll get on together 6, 7, 8, sometimes as late as 9, and we'll stay and play Rocket League and watch YouTube and do movies until 3 in the morning. So that's pretty much a day in my life.
Did you see Ella's message in chat?
Oh, Jesus. Constant unending agony. Oh, Ella, I love you.
Oh man. A day in my life. Well, I mean, John already mentioned that usually whether it's at 7, 8, 9 o'clock, he and I meet up and pretty much we usually play Rocket League for an hour to 2 hours. Usually it's closer to an hour and a half. We usually have some kind of audio playing in the background, whether it's a podcast or a YouTube video or just music. And then we will watch Twitch streams or a movie or play games or something along those lines for the rest of the night. Usually hang up around 3:30. And then I usually spend the rest of the night working on my spreadsheets. And by the rest of the night, I mean, I usually stay up until 7, 8, sometimes 9 o'clock in the morning. And by the time I'm actually tired enough to go to sleep, I usually don't end up waking up until, 2:30, 3 o'clock, maybe 3:30 in the afternoon. At which point I usually just spend my day either getting shit done outside of the house, grocery shopping, or, going getting mail and going to drop shit off at different places and going to take care of family things, maybe if someone needs a ride or something like that, or anything like that, all that shit. And when I'm at home before John gets on, I'll usually either A, work on more spreadsheet shit, but usually that news doesn't really strike me until after we hang up our call later at night. Or I'll just, have random conversations with people online, whether it's on Reddit or on Discord or Facebook Messenger or Twitter or whatever. It's usually not on Twitter anymore. I don't really use Twitter that much anymore, but usually Reddit or Discord are my two kind of main discussion mediums. So yeah, that's about the extent of it.
All right, and that rounds out Q&A. Guys, holy shit. This Q&A was phenomenal. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I want to thank everybody that submitted questions, and I cannot wait for Royal Rumble preview and predictions tomorrow. We're going live at 9 with those, and we're going to talk everything. It's going to be an insane time. With that said, though, partner, I've got company to tend to. You know that. So I'm going to leave it to you to take everybody home. Floor is yours.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I guess this was a little bit of a shorter Q&A. We actually stayed under 3 hours this time around, which is kind of shocking. But this is our January Q&A. We finally got around to answering everything. We ended up with 65 questions because I'm a little bitch and I missed Rotten Butter's questions. I apologize for that, Rotten Butter. Hopefully you can forgive me and you find it in your heart to continue asking questions and you don't use this as a one-time example to just abandon us entirely. That might actually kill us both inside. So, looking forward, of course, I would appreciate it if anybody watching this and enjoying the show would leave a like. I mean, hell, if you've made it this far, you've had to enjoy at least something to keep you around. So leave a like, leave a comment, let us know what you thought, or if you want to ask other questions, our next Q&A will be Thursday, February 22nd, 4 weeks from today. And then I think we're actually going to have a really good, March, the Q&A is on the 29th, so a nice late one. I like the later ones. I don't like the ones that have a 20 earlier than 5 number. So, but yeah, so that was the January Q&A. If you have any more questions you want to ask, go ahead and ask them over the course of the next 4 weeks, and we will answer them on February 22nd. And of course, remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click the bell to get notified whenever we go live or upload a video. Follow us both on Twitter, like the Facebook, check out the subreddit. And if you do want to support us, your time for January is running out when it comes to the Patreon. You have 5 more days or 6 more days, 5.5, what the hell ever, to donate to the Patreon before the end of January. You need to get the donation in by the end of the day, January 31st, in order to get access to the Discord for all of February and for your donation to count towards the community goal for our January donations. And if we do maintain the community goal to continue doing progress, we will do progress live reactions on Tuesday, February 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th. Of course, again, like I said, that would require us to stay above that community goal of $120 a month. And that, of course, your donations accumulate over time. So you'll be able to use those as purchasing power to request either live reactions or live reactions and reviews to wrestling shows of your choosing. February 2nd is a Friday. That's not tomorrow, but the following Friday, we have a Patreon request, multiple individual matches requested by Cliff Amal for us to react to. We already have the pricing worked out on that. We also have a second request coming through for February from Jackie, and that's going to be another Women's Wrestling Revolution show. I don't remember what the name of it was, but I'm sure she will specify and show us the link to it. So we'll be able to live react to that at some point in February. So that's everything planned for February. But in the near future, we've got Royal Rumble preview predictions tomorrow. We've got TakeOver Philadelphia live reactions on Saturday. We've got Royal Rumble live reactions on Sunday. We've got New Beginning in Sapporo live reactions Monday afternoon. We've got Post-Rumble Raw live reactions Monday evening. We've got Progress live reactions Tuesday afternoon. We've got Post-Rumble SmackDown live reactions Tuesday evening. We've got Lucha Rewatch Wednesday. We've got New Beginning in Sapporo Part 2 live reactions Thursday. And we've got Cliff's live reaction requested matches on Friday. So holy shit, do we have a stacked next 8 days. I hope you're looking forward to it as much as I know I am, and I'm pretty sure John is. I'm excited. Any last words before I close this out here, John? I'm going to just take that as a no and move on. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this commentary. We will see you all tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern time for our Royal Rumble preview and predictions. Of course, remember to stay tuned.